All right, we are live. It is Sunday. I believe it is January 21st, so if you are watching on YouTube, if we don't have technical difficulties, and this is on YouTube, you can find timestamps below in the description, and I will see you there for your reading, and my spirit guides and the angels and source will see you there for your reading. So, how's it get any better than that? But we're here while people are showing up, and we will begin the festivities shortly, if that's what we'd like to call them. Hey, Emma. Hey, Jessica. Good to see you. I got your email. I just didn't have time to respond to it yet today, but that should be totally fine, by the way, Jessica, just to respond to your email in short now while you're here. Hey, Jenna. Ooh, very awesome. I look forward to speaking with you, Whittaker Gannon. Very cool. I know I've seen you on the lives quite a bit, so it'll be cool to meet you. If I haven't met you before, and if I have, I apologize. Because I've done a lot of readings, and please don't take it personally if, I've done a reading for you and then I don't remember. Because chances are, if I talk to you for a second, I would remember, usually. Or if you jog my memory a bit on like some of the things. Though, as the years go on, I don't know, Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, I look forward to talking to you then. That'll be cool. Happy Sunday, the lame chick. I hope you're doing well. I'm so... the cool chick. Happy Sunday, Heather. It's so good to see you all. One second here. Let me just sit with something for a second here. Okay, we're good. Hey, Hunter P. You're new here. Well, I hope you enjoy it, and whether you stick around or not, have a beautiful Sunday. And we'll, no pressure either way. Hey, Cow Tippa. So, I guess we're doing the standard thing today, but who's to say what's standard? And I don't mean standard as per anyone else's standards, but as per the live that I usually facilitate with I guess I'll say it. I always feel compelled. It seems like I always feel compelled to say this at the beginning of the live. Actually, what they're correcting me and saying is it's usually what you're guided to do. So, but we'll do our series of readings. We'll do a full channel mode. I'll try to make it more concise-ish, if that's gonna be for the highest good, so that we don't kind of time out at the end of the live. If you were here last week and you're like, what happened? The live ended abruptly. That's just because the live kind of times out sometimes after a certain amount of time. Like usually it seems like about after 4-ish hours and then maybe some change. And then there's a little thing that pops up on the screen that says, we've detected that you might not be here for this live. Could you hit the button to confirm that you'd like to continue the live? And, if you're not paying attention to the screen, then you don't see it, you don't hit the button, and then it ends. So, I did have like a niggling, like that thought was it kept popping up, like, oh, I wonder, like I should, but like sometimes when you're in the middle of something, it doesn't always make sense to like open your eyes and like look at the screen, so. It could be part of a shift you're going through, Jenna, is what I was hearing. Thanks, me, myself, and I. I so appreciate that. Love the sweater. Thanks, Moni. Yeah, it's the live sweater debut. It's only shown up in a couple classes recently, but I'm changing things up. Thanks, Kanisha. Good to see you, by the way. Thank you very much. Yeah, this is my new favorite sweater. It's this, they called it like punch color. You probably already knew exactly what that meant, but the punch, it like events or something. But I like it. I think it's like one of my first pink like articles of clothing in a while. Which I have nothing against the color pink. I just never ended up getting it, I guess, until recently. It very much is cozy for the weather. Not the color of black eye, exactly. Oh, that's fantastic. Me, myself, and I. That means a lot, by the way. Thank you. If I'm connecting the dots between your comments correctly, I'm really that means a lot to see, and I'm super super glad to hear it. What happened to the rest of your channel from last week? Yeah, we'll talk about that because I kind of mentioned it already, and then we'll start what we're doing here today, unless they'd like to spin off into something else they'd like to do. But so it didn't get recorded. Pretty much, what would be for that is good to say? What? Because I'm going to explain it, and they're like, no. So what would be for that is good to be said here? There's kind of like a window that pops up at the end, like not at the end, but after a certain amount of time on lives, it seems, where they want to like verify you're still there and you're not just like running a live while you're not there for whatever reason. And you have to kind of hit the button to confirm that you're still there, like on the screen. And when I was channeling, that thought kept appearing like, oh, like that text box, I should check for that text box. But it was like also in the middle. It wasn't like I should, but like it kept popping up in my brain and or my thoughts as something to like check, or that it might be happening. And, but since I was in the middle of channeling, I just wasn't, I just didn't open my eyes and like look, and it would have been kind of a weird mix. Which kind of brings me to another topic I guess I'd like to talk about briefly before we begin. So then it just timed out pretty much, and it just stopped recording it then too. Which maybe I will try screen recording this live at a certain point, because that might ensure I can post this on YouTube afterwards if TikTok is like, I don't feel like working today. I don't feel like letting you download your live today. Which is, I guess that's the voice of TikTok when it doesn't let you. That's not literally channeled, right? That was just me. I don't know, being snarky about TikTok not letting me download the lives and repost them on YouTube. But what I was gonna say, yeah, it's so interesting because like full channel mode, it is possible like for me to channel with my eyes open with full channel mode and like see that and do that. I think like a part of me also gets wary of like, or maybe in the past, maybe it wouldn't happen as much now, but like just the judgments or projections of others, like, oh, it doesn't work like that. You can't open your eyes, or, weird things like that. And that might just be in my head, not like a real thing that people would judge or be weird about. I think I've just had people in the past on TikTok get weird about the weirdest like little things when it came to channeling, and like, come at me for, I guess you could say, like in the comments. And it's clear that they just didn't understand how channeling worked in general or for me. And they didn't like get it, or they didn't have the intuitive faculties to be like, oh yeah, no, this is real. It's just how his guides operate, or that's just how he operates. Or, so people would, or maybe they're just jealous and they were trying to like, meh, meh. But, so maybe that's just something I need to get over and be willing to like open my eyes and look at the screen while I'm in the middle of the channeling and not care if people question it or or anything like that. Cause like I'm there to do that, or it's possible for me to be like full channel mode, jump out for a second, jump back in, or be like partial channel mode while I check something, or be in full channel mode while I check something, or they check something, or however, it would end up working. So I just figured I'd mention that. I guess maybe I'm being slightly vulnerable while I talk about that. Hey, Lassus, so glad to hear it. Ooh, sunflowers are very synchronistic, so thanks for the sunflowers. This seems like a bot or something. Thanks, Ganesha. Yeah, that's probably a better perspective to take. Thank you, Sarah Clark. I appreciate it. Sorry, I was just muting a bot or something, and who was yelling Zandy wants their money. I don't even know who Zandy is. I don't think that's anyone I've done anything for in a reading or anything. So totally. So they would like me to start the collective channeled timeless reading for you guys. I'm actually going to screen record this. So I was just thinking like, oh man, that means chat's probably going to be, well, first of all, most of you are amazing in chat. I'm like, oh, someone weird going to show up in chat and it's going to show up in the live if I repost it, but better refund them all the money they spent on this free live. Yeah, no, for real. And also if they were, well, honestly, I should probably get a refund policy up on my website or something just in case for things, but here we go. I'm going to screen record facilitating readings. I will. And then, so thank you for reminding me of that, because that's great. And then like in between readings, I can open up chat and hang out with everybody. And then once we jump into reading. So I might, you can keep commenting and hanging out amongst yourselves. Give me 1 second to figure out how to. Oh, I just made chat bigger. I just made chat the entire screen. Oh my gosh. So that's funny. And maybe I don't, nope, that's not what I wanted to do. It's fine. We'll just let chat run and I'll figure that out at another time. Unless you want to play, figure out how TikTok chat, or sorry, figure out how TikTok live behind the scene works simulator 2.0 with me today. In this live, we'll start the reading and figure that out later. So swipe right for me. Yeah, I swipe right and then it turns into chat as the entire screen. So maybe that's not swipe right. That turns into real. Oh well, this is great content. So use the forward arrow. Oh my gosh, how do I do this? How do I navigate the live? I'm gonna unmirror my video while we're here. Setting. Oh, I can pause the live. Ooh. Oh, there's so many options. Yeah, it's not showing up for me for the clear display in the live. Welcome to Figuring Out Live Settings with Brandon. In this brief intermission, we will be trying to figure out how lives work. Okay, I'm going to research this after. See, I'm trying to hold the screen and press clear display, but all I get is like send to friends, and then like I get this like option to send the live to people. So it's fine. Thanks so much for trying to help. And you guys might be right, and I'm just missing it somehow or pressing on the wrong part of the screen or something. Maybe I should just try to approach it later, or I don't know. So I'm gonna go to. We tried. Yeah, it's fine. So we're going to start this reading. So if this is the collective reading, is meant to be for you whenever you see it, whoever's watching, whether you're here live or watching on YouTube. I'm going to channel my spirit guides, the angels and source, to bring through whatever would be for your highest good, what you need to hear, what would be for highest good to come through for you. And I'll be working with my intuition on that as well. So let us start here. So if you have been watching these lives or had readings from me or with me before, whatever word you prefer, you will know that giraffe spirit animal has been a staple for years now, and he's been a slightly less prominent figure that shows up in the readings, but he's the first figure showing up for this reading for you guys today. So let me see what's up with giraffe spirit animal. They're also showing me cherries. So, and cherries are symbolizing a fresh start, but let's get into like the specifics here for you fully, if that's good. The first thing I'm getting and like hearing and seeing is that things are going to be ramping up for you guys, especially in February. So right now we're facilitating this live in January. Since it's timeless, this will just be like in the next couple weeks from whenever you are seeing this, that things begin to ramp up a bit more for you. There are a lot of like upgrades kind of rolling through this collective as well. The collective watching this, like a lot of you, it's etheric gifts and abilities. For others of you, it's like life upgrades, like around you, like it could even be like for some of you, like quitting your job and getting a better one, or getting a new life partner is something I'm hearing, whether that's romantic or maybe something else, or just certain areas of your life are upgrading. But it's kind of an upgrade time through the rest of January if you're watching this in January. Though if you're watching this in the future, it'll just be like the next month or so. Things will be upgrading and kind of settling in and being put in place. But I've said this last live, it is go time soon in the collective, and for this crowd here, like things will be moving forward. It will be pedal to the metal as well. So as I sit with it a little bit more, let me see what else is coming through for you guys here. The thing with giraffe spirit animal, what it's also representing, because it has the long neck, it's tall, is it's also representing hitting new heights and just becoming greater. That's part of what this year is about for this crowd who's seeing this, is whatever year you're watching it, hitting new heights, becoming greater, hitting a new level in yourself is something I'm getting, and around you. So I guess the term life upgrades also applies to all of you, as long as you're willing to be a little bit patient with how that pans out, and the players in your life that are coming in and that are leaving, and as things switch around, because it's all leading to upgrades. It's tempting to judge things changing as bad right away or shakeups as negative right away. So try to be patient with any shakeups in your life that are occurring, or shaking things loose in your life, or getting you to let go of like older outdated beliefs or ideas, or even traumas. Like if you're releasing traumas, again, it's all leading to better, which is great. It's all getting you over the hump of this time period right now is something I'm getting as well, which is fantastic. So be a little bit patient with the universe regarding like that aspect, but know it's all leading to a better place. And in some ways, what the universe is trying to get you to do right now is let go, like let go of old people, let go of old thoughts, let go of old you, the old you, and things like that. So I've been saying this a lot, but it's just there, it's just the message. And as part of the theme is like, I would be heading towards the new. I would be gravitating towards the new, or making space for the new. A lot of you have already done that, actually. So congrats and pat on the back for you if you're doing that. But the new is here, and the new is also potentially coming in for others of you as well, if you don't feel like the new is totally here yet. So, or there's just more new. So let me see what else is coming through here. So they're playing the Indiana Jones theme song. They're showing me scenes from like Indiana Jones with like the whip and all that. And then there's also this mountain, but there is also like an ice cream sundae. So now there's a train showing up, which often has to do with inner child stuff when a train shows up. So let me sit with all this stuff that's showing up and see like what the message or different messages are for you, as all this is showing up here for you. So we're starting with the train here. So, okay, so they're actually switching it up a little bit. The cool message for you guys with the train, because they're showing the mountains, but there's this train and it's going towards the mountains, but there's this tunnel and it's just kind of rolling right through. And the message is like, there are some like challenges or difficulties coming up that actually won't be challenging. So what does that mean? There might be certain things you're really intimidated by, or things you have to do you don't want to do, or things that seem really difficult that are a part of your path that will actually be easy. It's like the tunnel's already been made. Anytime tunnels come up, I want to sing the Secret Tunnel song from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Secret tunnel. But I don't think it's a secret tunnel in this instance, so it's just tunnel. And so, much like you might see a mountain and oh, I have to traverse this mountain. Oh my God, I have to climb the mountain. I have to go around this mountain and take a detour. It's like, nope, you just got to roll right through. And it's just the same as anything else, except you're in a tunnel. For a second, metaphorically, of course, it's not literal. And you're on the other side and clear, and it's like nothing changed. So that's cool. Like for some of you, it could even be like taking a new job and you're expecting all this difficulty, but then it's like a breeze. Like for others of you, it could be making a change in your business. And you're like, oh my gosh, I have to make this change. I have to change my website. And then it's just like, you just kind of cruise through it. You're like, oh, so the other thing I'm getting with this message as a way it could show up for you is like things could just be happening for you in your life as far as shifts and changes. Like, for example, you might be like, oh my God, I need to shift this pattern. I need to maybe it's letting go of alcohol, maybe it's letting go of sugar, maybe it's like exercising or something, or like an internal pattern that is, you have to change regarding your abundance to help you with abundance. And you're like, oh my God, I got to make this change. I got to change this habit. And it just kind of happens for you, or maybe outward circumstances convene, the universe through outward circumstances convene to make the changes for you. So part of the message is also easy change with this tunnel and the train and the mountain. So take all that as it resonates, because it's kind of speaking to different ones of you, like different bits of that. But the point is, certain things that seem challenging are not challenging, so I would head right towards them. And sometimes that's a secret to success, is what I'm hearing for this crowd right now, for you, is even just like heading right towards things you don't want to do that you have to, or would make you greater, or would improve your circumstances, and just letting them be what they will be instead of building up, the making mountains out of molehills, like building them up to be this big thing that they're not, is something they're kind of talking about with all that here. With Indiana Jones, that visual that was showing up here, let me see what's up with that. So it's really interesting because they're showing Indiana Jones. He has his whip, but he's like it almost looks like wasting his time in the way it's showing up here, but he's spending his time like wrangling pigs. Like he has his whip, he like whips this, like he doesn't hurt the pig. This isn't necessarily animal cruelty, and of course I don't condone that. But he like uses the whip like a lasso, and he like captures this pig, is the better way to describe it, before you come for me. I swear I'm just channeling the message. And like, but it's almost like he's missing his purpose by like wasting his time on these like pigs. And he like thinks he has to do this. Like he thinks he has to wrangle the pigs, but it's like, there's almost like no point in what he's doing. So let me see, like, one, I don't think I need to say this, but pay attention to like what comes to you as like things in your life that this resonates for as the messages are coming through, or like things that, depending on, who you are, you might just get the channel message like, oh, it's about that. Or you might just intuitively be like, oh, it's that. So just pay attention to things that are popping into your mind, maybe as these come through, but let me sit with it a second longer here. So you're not going to miss your purpose. That's not what the message is. It's more like, where are you wasting your time metaphorically wrangling pigs that don't need to be wrangled? Because like they're in a pig pen, or they're just like, they're wild pigs and like no one wants them or something like that. Like they're fine. He's just like, oh, I need to wrangle these pigs, but no one asked him to. Like no one asked for this. And like, where do you instead need to spend your time to be effective towards your dreams and targets and ambitions, and what would move you forward? Because you might be spending an hour a day metaphorically wrangling pigs. I'm going to ask for examples on that too. That might be a bit more straightforward for you. And so, for example, if they would like to give me an examples for you. For example, maybe it's like, oh, you go to work and you're like, oh, these emails need to be organized. And like half of them are just going to be deleted anyways. Like half of them you won't need to find again. So maybe it's like you only need to organize or save like 3 out of your 100 emails, but you've organized like all 100 and it took an hour. And you're like, oh, thank God, organize these emails. And you like never touch it again, or it's like an example showing up, but it's just kind of like busy work. It's not really moving you forward. It's just kind of either part of the daily grind, or it's just something like that. I'm not talking about anything that's like necessary for you in your like daily operations or necessary for your job. It's more like things you've taken it upon yourself to do for no reason. Seems to be more what this is talking about. So take it as it resonates, but try not to waste your time with busy work, especially if you like own your own business or do your own thing. Like definitely don't waste time with that. Like if you're intuitive, if you work with your intuition and divine guidance, like follow that maybe on this and see how that helps you streamline things a little bit. But the other thing I'm hearing, weirdly enough, is like not everything has to be done, at least by you. Not every single thing is a grand task. It's kind of like, it's really, if you look at it a different way, it's about prioritizing a little bit as well. So next thing we'd like to get to, we're getting to that ice cream sundae here. Because like the way it originally showed up was like there was mountains, and there was like the mountains turned into, in the intuitive visual, an ice cream sundae, or like an ice cream sundae was like overlaid over these mountains in the intuitive visual, and like almost like a Photoshop way where it took the shape of the mountains. Let me see what this means here for you. So I know we talked about like challenges and like moving through that and it being easy. The other thing I'm getting for you to encourage you here is that sweetness resides on the other side of challenge. Now, again, the challenge might be easier than you suspect as you head towards it. At the same time, this is reminding you not to shy away from things you need to do, things that seem challenging that you need to do, not to shy away from your like dreams and ambitions because they seem big and maybe they even seem unattainable to you, and you're like, oh, there's so much I have to do this. I'm just gonna stay home and eat ice cream, which is fine. If you need a day to eat ice cream, take a day to eat ice cream and enjoy your life, and don't beat up on yourself if you do that. At the same time, around all that, around your ice cream days, see what you can do to move, not like create unnecessary challenges, not like make things challenging for yourself for no reason, but move towards the things that seem challenging because, again, they might be easier than you think. Again, you're going to have like sweetness or rewards on the other side of like overcoming certain things that maybe you don't want to face right now. It's kind of like, maybe not for all of you, but maybe for some of you, like avoidance might be like your quote unquote like worst thing right now that you're dealing with. And it's like if you kicked that, then like nothing could stop you. So consider that idea. What would it take for you to be free from avoiding things you didn't need to avoid? Should it be in the highest good? And in ways that are for the highest good and that serve you, of course. So there's more at the ice cream sundae though. The other thing I'm hearing for you is like things, for some of you, you're tuning in, things are really good for you, but I feel like things can be better. And the other thing I'm kind of getting is like things just in general can be really good for you, which is really cool. But I want to get the details on like what they're saying about that. I'm getting this message. The words I'm hearing is like all this like landscape turns into like ice cream sundae. And I guess you're dressed warmly, so it's not like it affects you in a negative, like cold way, but like it's just like you're swimming and like playing in this ice cream and eating this delicious ice cream. But there's also like nutrition in it for you. It's healthy ice cream, I guess, but it's delicious. And the message is like everything can be good. And the question I'm hearing is like, what would it be like if like everything in your life were like perfect or like going really well or going your way? And you were really enjoying everything and you had sweetness in life and things were like as you desired them to be. And while you're here in this reading, I know this is kind of venturing into other territories like energy healing and manifesting and other sorts of territories. But if you are someone who's familiar with just like feeling into things energetically, getting the energies of things, or you can just ask source for that energy, like, yeah, and like, I guess, sit with the energy of what it would be like to have that. Be like, okay, source, what would that be like? Please show me that energy, give me that energy, surround me with it now. Thanks so much. And then just like sit with it. So for me, when I feel into that for me, like, or get that energy for me, like that feels amazing. Like you saw the smile that went on my face and all that. Like there's just lightness and joy and freedom and expansion and fun. And I don't have to worry and things are in place. And like I could just like kind of have fun. Whether it's having fun with my work or whatever. Not to pigeonhole it into anything. So maybe try sitting in that energy sometimes. If you need to like rewind or if you need to watch it on YouTube and pause it and write it down and ask the question and ask source for the energies and sit with it sometimes, like that could help create that. That's like a shortcut to manifesting is what I'm hearing, or just another way to actualize things in your world. And what would be fast for me to say here? There's different people who talk about different methods to do it. Like, yeah, like I'm also, I love writing things down and manifesting that way. I guess I've never actually tried a vision board. There's a confession. And I'm not saying vision boards don't work at all. I just haven't tried it yet. I know there's like many different ways to manifest, to actualize, whatever works for you, perfect. Like do what works. But that's another way to do it. Just get the energies of things that maybe you're not sure what it would be like in your mind, or like, I don't know what the physically would be like. I don't know what job it would be like. And you just get the energy of it and ask for it that way. And then you can kind of actualize things that way. And I'm not, I guess I've seen that done a few places. My guides have also like channeled through different exercises in the channelings and channel guided meditations they bring through, where you're kind of like getting the energies of things and calling them and doing certain things that way. I've also seen just a lot of, I've seen different modalities or different people. And I guess my spirit guides work with that. And I guess they just did it now again, because they're channeled that through. So, but that's another way to create that. And so they would like you to try and sit in that energy and like, actualize that, create that for yourselves. sometime after this reading, or maybe you're still doing it now, and that's totally fine too. Just whatever works for you with all that. Because like, again, things like can be good. Like the possibility for that is there. I just feel like you just need to reach out and like grab it from the universe for the highest good for yourself. It's not like you're taking it from anyone. Because, if you think of like unlimited or infinite abundance or like anything's possible, it's like, yeah, you can absolutely have that without stealing from anyone. And you're allowed to have that, by the way. You're allowed to have your life be good. Because I guess I feel like I think this is kind of coming up for some of you. It feels like, or I feel kind of this energy. So I'm gonna talk to it really, not talk to it, talk to you about something here really quickly. Where it's like, yeah, I know there's this programming where a lot of people are like, they think it's bad or wrong, or they can't have that if other people in the world aren't doing well or aren't suffering. But a couple things. One, you'll be able to help those people more if you are in a good place. Two, you're a part of the world. So you being in the world, having that as your life and frequency is bringing more of that to the world and allowing that possibility for the highest good to actualize for more people. Even if you're not directly giving it to them, it's making the world a better place. I'm not telling you to be narcissistic with all that. Be like, screw all you people. I must stay in a good place for you people, but I'm going to step on your faces regardless, because it's not like that. That's not what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying, hopefully. The other thing that, those were two of the main things, but the other thing I was going to say is, yeah, there are some people who may or may not be in as privileged a position as you. A lot of people do have a lot more choice available to them to create that for themselves, like, abundance, everything in their life being good. And it's like up to them, and it's their responsibility to make those choices. So are you going to let people who aren't choosing that for themselves limit you and what you're choosing for yourself, and hinder the quality of your life because they won't choose it, but you feel bad for them, or you don't want them to feel bad, or whatever is coming up regarding all that? Like, to me, that's nonsensical. So I would ask the angels to help you let go of that, or get rid of it if you feel like that's something you're dealing with, or maybe do some work on that, or energy healing on that, to help you let go of that as well. So I know this turned into a weird, like, semi-coaching session or something slightly there, but hopefully that's all helpful for you to hear. And I know I've talked about that in the lives before. I guess it just keeps coming up right now. So hopefully that's all helpful for you and helping you create better for yourselves, and more abundance for yourselves as well. So next thing they let me to get to here, what else would be helpful for you guys right now? I guess they're like, let's talk about abundance some more. I'm like, okay, so let's talk about abundance for some more for you guys here. One of the cool messages, I think this came through in a like TikTok I channeled through last week or 2 weeks ago, where it was like something about secret passageways, like to success opening up. Like there is a message about secret passageways to abundance opening up for you. So one, maybe it is what just came through, but also like outside of this and in the future, like pay attention to new, like just manifestation techniques that come into your world, new like modalities that pop up in your world or awareness, new teachers you resonate with, or I don't know if teacher is the right word, but teachers, facilitators, YouTube or whatever that resonate for you, that pop up in your world soon here, even like after this or even outside of this. I'm not just talking about like me with this. I would like pay attention to that, because like new tools are coming your way to like open up abundance for you. It is a needed frequency. So if you are living in abundance, like pat yourself on the back, because you're actually bringing good things to the world by like living in abundance for yourself. Even if other people have a story that seems selfish or something like that, because it doesn't mean you're not like generous. It doesn't mean you're not sharing. It just means you're living in a frequency that is helping the world. And whether that sounds counter logical to you or not, that's okay. But keep that in mind right now. The other thing about abundance here is, I'm not sure why we're just really focused on abundance right now with this channel, but some of you do need to, we kind of talked about it earlier. I don't know if all of you were here for the earlier part of this reading, but some of you do need to let go of certain things in order to make space for abundance. And for some of you, it is like the thing you're clinging to the most. And for some of you, you're like, no, I'm not letting go of my lover. And that's okay, because the thing you're clinging to the most could be an idea, not like a thing, or it could be, weirdly enough, and you're going to have to use your discernment on this. So I'm sorry, except I'm not sorry at all. some of you, it could be like a dream you have, and it's like there's a better dream, and maybe you even like had this better dream, but you're like clinging to this old thing. Maybe even for like other people in your world, this could even just be like, I'm just bringing this one message through for like one of you right now. And it's like, it's kind of time to let go of like the old dream that doesn't serve or doesn't fit the new you anymore, or you anymore, and move towards the new thing. Because you'll have aspects of that old dream that you'll find within that new dream if you move towards what you're truly being guided to, or the new dream you're being called to move towards, or that feels more resonant for you, if that makes sense. I'm not saying this perfectly right, so let me sit with it a second longer. If you're drawn towards a new dream, go towards the new dream. I'll tell this story because it's kind of like maybe the best way, one of the best ways to describe it to you right now is I remember listening to another channeler, Lee Harris, and he was talking about how earlier in his career, if you will, or in his life, he really wanted to be a singer-songwriter. And he was like, oh my gosh, like it's music. I'm going to do music. I love music. Da, 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 da. And like there were certain things he wanted to do in music that were just kind of key. And he said he went to this event, and the facilitator of the event did this part where the facilitator was like, hey, like what if God has a better plan for you than you do, or knows what the better plan for you is than you do? What if you were willing to say like, God, use me? And you could add in, if you're like, oh, I'm going to do that right now. You can use say for the highest good. You can say source, use me. You can say universe, whatever works for you. Spirit. I don't judge what word you use with all that. Whatever works for you. And what happened for him is that's when because he was at first he was like, no, I'd like to be a singer-songwriter, but then he tried it, and like 6 months or so later, as the story goes, as he tells it, which is true, by the way. I mean, it's not like he made it up or anything. He started doing one-on-one like readings for people, and then like if you're familiar with him, his career is pretty prolific now. He's a great channeler. He does a lot of great work, and so. But one thing he talked about too was like a lot of the things he was looking to get out of his music career were there within his like career with spirituality and channeling and all that. So like using his voice to heal people, to help people, like, and maybe even different things as well that he was looking for within that. And now he does music on top of that anyway. So that's kind of part of what they were trying, that they flash that story and to have me talk about it to describe what they were trying to say for you. So sorry, when I do that, I'm just like picking up on an energy. I'm like, no, get out of here when that happens. So or something like that. So don't worry about that. But I guess that's kind of it. Okay, I guess that's kind of it for the collective reading. That's what they wanted to talk about. I guess that took a different turn than I was expecting, for like a reading. But I'm totally willing to be a little bit loose with the format to bring through what they'd like to bring through. So I hope that was helpful and like resonated and did whatever was good to like do for you. There's like one more message coming through before we'll move into another reading too for anyone new here. Because we do collective, fire signs, earth signs, water signs, then usually full channel mode message, and maybe some other things after that. But beep boop. Let's and I also like to beep boop and make, I like to meow sometimes randomly, and I hope you're on board with that because it's just kind of a automatic fun thing I do here and there in my life. But last message here, they're showing me a pearl, and then there's like an array of gemstones, and in some ways it's kind of symbolizing the chakras. Like they're showing me the words chakra healing with this as well. One, with the pearl, I'm just getting this message that things are like amplifying for you, but it's a really good thing. So what does that mean for you? You're gonna be seeing very clearly what needs to change soon. That's a message I was getting for 2024 and beyond in general, was how it's gonna be very like potentially more in your face or just more obvious what needs to be changed, whether it's about yourself or something in your life. Like it's going to be, a bit more in your face. That's maybe a little bit different, but kind of what this is talking about as well, where it's like when things are amplified, you're like, oh, I see this disharmonic frequency that needs to change in my world. Like, oh, I see this imbalance much more clearly that needs to change with my job, for example. And you're just going to be seeing that a bit more. And it's not something that's wrong with you if you're noticing these things more. Like, you're not nitpicky. It's more like the universe is cleaning house right now for you, and you're being guided to the things that need to be changed for your highest good, so you can have the abundance, even like the dreams come true is something I'm hearing. Or just like the better frequencies you'd like in your world. And sometimes it's like the last thing we suspect is the disharmonic thing in our world. It's almost like something in the back room that we forgot about a long time ago. And it's like, because they're showing this intuitive visual of like someone going into their basement, or it's like the back storage room in like a retail space or something, and they find this like old thing that their like friend gave them, but that relationship fell apart, and they're like, oh, I need to get rid of this like old memento from this like person, and then like they get rid of it, and like the clouds part and the sun peeks through, and it's like, oh, awesome, because it just got rid of that last like vestige of the way it's coming to me to be said to you. Like the words I'm hearing are negative frequency, like from your world, that like allows the sun to kind of peek through and fill everything. So it's kind of like the dam bursting, if you will. It's like the last crack that needs to appearing in the dam for the dam to burst, or the last pebble moving out of the way for the dam to burst, and whether it's abundance coming through or just a better time coming through or something like that. So all that's just going to be made very clear to you, like what needs to go, what needs to change, which is a blessing. I know I've said that a lot, but it must be an important message for you guys, and hope that is helpful. The other thing with like the other crystals that we're showing next to the pearl though here, I know this is kind of maybe common knowledge maybe, but I would pay attention to your chakras sometime after this and be like, okay, does anything need a bit of balancing? Does anything like need a little bit of love here? Is there anything like hanging out that needs to like be gone? And I know that may or may not be the framework for all of you. So if you have a different framework, you're like, I work with, I don't know, energy fields and different ways of looking at the meridians, like, cool, do that. It doesn't all have to be a one side. Well, what's the best way to say this? They had me backtrack a little bit when I was saying, but whatever works for you, like just do a checkup, just do a quick diagnostic, kind of like you run a diagnostic on your computer or something, and just put something on, maybe rebalance or something. I just feel like that's going to help you. And like, even just this next week, whenever you're seeing this, it's going to be helpful to just stay in balance, stay in tune, if that makes sense, no matter what you use to do that, whether you facilitate energy healing, or you just put something on YouTube, or Reiki videos on YouTube, whatever it is, or sound healing. It doesn't, whatever works for you. Just keep that in mind right now. Staying in balance right now is key, and it's gonna change your world, is what I'm getting right now. So, it reminds me, another story is flashing in. Story time. And I think I just read this article. I don't remember who this person was. I don't remember their website or anything. It was just someone who, I think they were more like an esthetician, or like they worked at a spa or something, and it was something about like people would come in, and she'd be like, one of the things she'd do intuitively, she'd be like, oh, you know what? You actually have this like great love coming into your life. Would you be cool if I like did a quick like balancing and clearing session to, so you were prepared for that, to bring that in? And then the client would be like, sure. And I guess the client would usually be into that sort of thing. As most of you here probably would be too. And, sorry, don't mind me moving some energies with that. But she'd like clear the energies, and then 2 weeks later, like the people would be like, come back to her, be like, oh yeah, XYZ person came through, and da 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 da. Now 2 years later, we're getting married or whatever. So I'm not promising that's what's gonna happen, but it's almost like they're showing me that as an example of like, that's part of maybe not that literally. It could be something else coming in as well. I'm not like promising your, persons come in. Some of you are dating people already too. Like I know some of you are like happily married and all that. So, but that might be part of why they're saying like, hey, balance, pay attention to this, clear things. This is being amplified, so you pay attention to it. It's like there are things coming in that like space is being made for. The balancing is preparing you for. So keep that in mind. Another story is coming in that's unrelated that they want me to tell you as well for some of you, in case this is helpful, where just so you have this in your awareness. It was something I heard, I think, from Lee Harris, and I've seen this play out for myself as well. And if it works a different way for you, that's fine, but keep this idea in mind for some reason, maybe. Where sometimes when you have like an important new lover or long-term romance coming in, there's like not a tester, but there's like a warm-up that comes in and helps you like clear certain things out of the way. And like that doesn't like work out, but then like the person comes in that you're supposed to date like really soon after that, like a couple days or a week or something. And I was like looking back, I'm like, wait, I guess that kind of has happened like in certain like weird instances where like someone would show up and it didn't like really work out for whatever reason, but then they'd kind of like fall away or something. And then either right away or sometime, usually soon after, like the next person would be like, whoop, here we go. Time to love. And so keep that in mind too, for some reason, like maybe not all of you, but some of you might be going through that. And if you're like, if you're watching this with your new lover and you didn't have that, you're just like kind of doing that weird, side eye to each other as you're watching this in bed or something. Don't think about it too much. That's not like a promise that's going to fall apart. It's just something that wanted to come through for some of you for some reason. So, last message coming through actually before we totally end the collective reading is just about obstacle removal. So what I'm getting for you guys is next month, whatever next month, for February for you here live, of course, but next month is about obstacle removal. So you're going to have a lot of blocks removed now and in the future. And you might feel like it's even a bit, I don't want to say strenuous is the word kind of coming up, but also a bit much sometimes as that happens because you're being pulled through a lot quickly. Or it's like if someone were being pulled out of a pile of crap, like if you will, for a second, don't go to, don't create this, but just like think about it. If someone were in a pile of crap and like maybe they were able to dig a little hole out for themselves, so they weren't like touching all the crap, they were just kind of like huddled in their crap cave. You're like, well, I'm not touching all the crap, and like I guess this layer of crap beneath me is hardened, so it's not that bad. But they're still in crap. And like someone tried to pull them out of the crap. Like they would have to be pulled through the crap to get out of the crap and be completely out of the crap pile and then be washed clean, by the universe, by God, by source. After that. So you might feel like some of you are being pulled through crap, but it's actually you're being pulled out of crap. But it's going to happen really quickly. Like, it could just be like a day where just like, whoa. And maybe it comes up just like energetically. You're like, why do I feel weird? Why do I have all these like things coming up? And like, why am I having all these weird dreams? It doesn't have to be like your whole life falls apart or anything crazy like that. I know sometimes these messages that don't sound as fun, it can be, maybe it's not. I was going to go somewhere and they're like, nah, no. Just try not to go to worst case scenario, because this could be a lot more light, fun, freeing, and joyful than you suspect with some of these things that might even appear negative. It could just be entirely energetic, and like all of a sudden you're like, whoa, and like something shifts and you feel really light, and then you kind of feel like the universe is rinsing you clean or something like that. But just kind of keep that in mind for either now and like maybe through February, or if you're watching this like in the future, because it's timeless, like the next month or and a half maybe or so, and you can be a little bit loose on the time. It might be slightly different for all of you. Like you're gonna be being pulled out of crap. Potentially it'll feel like you're being pulled through crap really quickly, but it's worth it, and life gets a lot better on the other side. So just keep that in mind right now regarding like obstacle removal and things like that. So that was a collective reading. That was just meant to be for whoever was here. Whenever you thought, well, you're here live now, of course. So you're like, what do you mean whenever I see it? Because I tend to repost these on YouTube. So that's why I say that. So when people rewatch these on YouTube, they're like, was this only for me 2 weeks ago? It's like, not quite, sir, or ma'am, or individual. Do we have a formal term for non-binary genders? Because we have sir and we have ma'am. But do we have because I think I'd like to have that in my vocabulary, just vocabulary, just in case. But you're welcome, Jan. Oh, 225 of you. How are you doing today? I hope you're having a great day. 42969 is there going to be a solar plexus chakra package anytime soon? Speaking of chakras, yeah. I'm not going to promise the time frame, maybe just next month or so, because it's kind of coming up on time when I facilitate that. So keep an eye out, and that'll be, I'll let you know here probably. I'll let you know on the free newsletter as well, of course, if you're there. But that will come. I know it's funny because, and maybe some of you can relate to this as well with things you work on. But when I first got the message about that chakra series with the packages, and I guess I'll explain it a bit for anyone new here. That's like it's like a bundle of like channeled MP3s that's meant to like really help with a specific chakra and all the areas of life correlated with it, and like really help to shift things for the highest good regarding all that, and do like a really deep dive with healing and all that. And it's meant to be a more like permanent shift. It's not like it's a nice little, not that there's nothing wrong with a nice little cleanse, by the way, and nothing wrong with cleansing at all. But that's just what that is. And I really suspected I'd just be like, yeah, I'm going to knock this out. I'm going to do one a month. It'll be easy. And that's just not how it worked. And because sometimes, and I can talk about, I'm not going to spend too much time because that's not what I'm being guided to talk about with this too much. Love the collective. Thank you, Heather. So glad to hear it. But it just didn't work that way. And sometimes, it's just not the right timing to just knock things out, one after the other, even if you can sort of, because I just got kind of, when you're channeling things, like you can't always just force it, it's, so like I couldn't force them out, but which is good. Brandon, you're cracking me up. Glad to hear it. Looking forward to it. The 2 packages were so helpful. So glad to hear it. Thank you for the feedback and letting me know, because that always brings me joy. And so you are very welcome. And I will, of course, that information will be there once that's available. So I'll take that as a sign to maybe get on that too and get that going. For Tara, I'm so sorry. That's not something they'd like me to get into right now. We'll see if that comes through maybe later in the live. I think maybe for liability reasons, they don't want me to get into that right now. So I'll check on it really quickly for you. It's not happening right now. I'm so sorry. Maybe in a bit though. Random ordinary person. You are saying you find yourself scared you'll lose your gifts. You won't, is what I'm getting. I know, and I won't either. Thanks, guys. They just told me I won't either. But they don't want me to get into it too deeply. That can be a story some people have where like some people seem to put out like a horror story about that. It's not as common as you would suspect. What I'm getting is if you're someone who doesn't want to lose that, you won't lose that. Does that make sense? So, I don't know. That's just something I was getting with all of that here. It's like, that's a very, very rare, like, thing. And I also feel like that's a fear thing that's pumped out there by some people that like doesn't need to exist. Because most people just never have that issue. And Tanya, even see, like now we're kind of getting into it. Tanya's like, how do you lose your gifts? And my guys are like, you don't. So I'm not sure if they don't seem to really want to get into it super far about what would be best to say about this here. And you know what? The thing I'll say is like, I've had that thing rise up before for me too. It just doesn't happen is something I'm getting. I feel like you'd either have to really try or, maybe if something happened where someone had some type of brain damage that happened to them or like some type of physical thing or, I don't know. I'm just kind of getting, you can't lose your gifts. So, that's what I'm getting on it right now. So maybe that's just a fear that doesn't need to be there. But Jessica says they've intentionally tuned out at certain times in their life. That could be like, but that's like a choice, So, so that's just something I guess is coming through for you guys right there. So they would like me to start the fire signs reading next. So if you have a fire sign, sun, moon, or rising, this is meant to be for you whenever you see it. Jessica says, yep, their gifts came right back. So there you go. And the other thing I'd say is, like, as long as you're working on yourself, the other thing that's coming through right now, you're going to be fine. If you're someone who's meant to, I'll say this. I'd say everyone has gifts. One of the things that's come through about, like, channeling, for example, this just came through in the intro to channeling class I just taught, or facilitated. I'm trying to get away from certain words. The intro to channeling class I just facilitated yesterday was there was one of the things that came through is, like, one of the questions people had, and it also came through ahead of time. They're like, can everyone channel? And the message I got is, like, yes. Like, some people might be more naturals at it, or be more predisposed or pre-wired, whatever you want to say, but everyone can do it, and everyone has the capacity to learn to channel. And the other thing you might consider is that, spirit, source is all of it, and spirit and source can work through everyone, and that can look like channeling. Perhaps that can look like other ways as well. Just, if you think of, like, things like synchronicity and, people giving you things, if an example is, like, if you manifest something and someone's like, oh, I have this old thing laying around. Do you want it? And it's exactly what you manifested, because the universe can work through other people and, like, things and everything. So, that's not the only way it can work. It can work directly too, but, yeah, I kind of got slightly off topic with where they had me go, but not really. So keep that in mind as well. Like, if everyone can channel, and maybe everyone has their intuition and different ways they work, maybe it's different for different people. Maybe it's similar or the same for some people. Maybe it's completely different between different people. But then maybe we can't lose our gifts, and maybe that's something we can open up into and create as well as our reality. Here's a question. Nope, they don't want me to ask that question. We're gonna start the fire signs reading. I put up the sign, so sorry. That happens sometimes where I start something and then, like, I see a question and, like, they're like, "Oh, answer that," so I start to answer it. So if you have a fire sign, sun, moon, or rising, this is for you when you see it here live in the future on YouTube when this is reposted. And I'm gonna be channeling through what my spirit guides and angels and source would like to bring through for you, what you need to hear, what would be for your highest good to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear, sorry. Though sometimes it lines up with what you want to hear too. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's something completely else, but let's see what comes through for you for your highest good. And I'll be working with my intuition on that too. If you need to hear that, let's start. So the first thing they're starting with is a starfish, which is cool. And there, starfish can mean a couple of different things when it shows up for me in a reading, but it's showing the starfish. It has this little, like, tube feet. And it's just kind of tube feeding around the bottom of the ocean, like, da, 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 I'm a poor little starfish. I move so slow. And the reason I'm saying it like that is I feel like you are about to rocket ahead. Like, there's it's like this starfish catches, like, a current and it, like, or, like, maybe even it reminds me of something from, like, maybe like Finding Nemo or Finding Dory or something. And I could be not remembering this correctly. Funny, Finding Dory, not remembering correctly. But it's like there's this pipe and it's just, like, sucking water and really strongly, and the starfish kind of goes, like, whoop, and he just gets, like, sucked into this pipe and, like, launched forward on his trajectory. And, like, sure, you might argue that most starfish, it probably wouldn't be beneficial for them to get sucked into a pipe. But in this instance, the way it's representing it for you, it is, because it's, like, going to exactly where you need to go, or it's like a really strong current that sweeps the starfish into the currents and just, like, forces it, like, along. So maybe it's a bit uncomfortable, even, like, the forward movement that's coming in, or maybe even some of the forward movement now are things you're being forced through, or some of your growth edges right now that the universe is putting in place for you to get to where you need to be. However, it's helping to create the highest and best you for you. And I do feel like the forward movement will be a breath of fresh air for at least some of you who, if you felt a bit stagnant, or you felt like 2023 didn't have a lot of action, or you felt like you just kind of, like, you've been piddling around in the mud, like, not doing much of anything, but you have big hopes and dreams. Like, I feel like now is your time to start to move towards that, or maybe even to have some of that for some of you, which is really cool, or maybe even most of you. But it's kind of like this forced, not like you're forcing it, but the universe is forcing it, this forward movement for you, which is cool. And the other thing is, like, it's kind of like this transformation is occurring, because the starfish is transforming into something else that also moves forward on its own more quickly as it gets up to speed with this current. So don't limit yourself to thinking you're a slow starfish if you're watching, not that you were, but if you were watching this. the other thing I'm hearing is a weird message is allow yourself to become exactly what you need to be in order to succeed, because you can do that and you have the full capability to do that. Here's what I'm hearing for you. Every person who's listening to this right now who isn't doing well or doesn't seem to be doing well or they'd like to be doing better has the capability to become a millionaire in the future if they're willing to go through the transformation to become that. Does that make sense? And do either the self-work that's necessary to do that, or go through the journey with the universe that they need, go through their journey in the ways they need to in order to receive that and become that and have that. So don't limit yourself right now either. I guess anyone listening, but fire signs is really also the target for this reading, who I'm channeling for. Nope, I was going to say something like, no, don't say that. So never mind. If it's resonating for you and you're not a fire sign, cool. More power to you. But let's get back to the reading here. Next thing that they'd like to say for you, they're actually showing me if you are familiar with Super Mario. I'm laughing because last live they brought through a bunch of Super Mario imagery, but there's the item called the Fire Flower. That's a power up for the Super Mario. I'm gonna grate on. I play video games sometimes. I grew up playing video games a lot more as a kid, so I say the Super Mario as a joke to kind of grate on. It's not even to grate on people. I just don't mind me. Anyways, the Super Mario gets the Fire Flower and he throws fireballs and stuff and he's all powered up and all that. So let me see what the message is for you regarding all that here. Weird. You might feel like in some ways the universe is giving you power-ups like temporarily to get through certain things in your life or to like overcome certain things in your life. The other thing about that is like, it doesn't have to be temporary. If you've ever had, there's a lot of different stories popping in I could tell you about that kind of talk about this, but if you've ever just had like you're going through something and you just have a sudden burst of like energy or just the vitality or strength you need or the mindset or just the realizations you need to be like, okay, I can do this, and you just do it. It reminds me, the other thing they flashed to me is like one time before I was like doing this getting to do this on social media or having the opportunity to do so, like and facilitate readings and have my business and all that, I worked nights at a grocery store, at Whole Foods, I guess. I guess I'll tell you that. And it wasn't the worst thing in the world, but it was tough. Like I consider myself a night owl, but being a night owl and working night shifts are two entirely different things for your nervous system and just in general, just so you are aware. Because night owl, you're like, oh, I can just go to sleep at 2 a.m. And night shift is like, oh, I am doing grueling physical activity until 7 a.m. whether I would like to or not. And yeah, your body adjusts, but also it kind of, for me, it did, but it also was awful in certain regards. That's the word that came out of my mouth. So I guess that's the word that is more how I felt about it or my truth about it. But, or maybe that's how my body felt about it rather. Anyways, one of the things that helped me out was I was just like, I'll tell you now, I was like, Archangel Raphael, like, whether I get a lot of sleep or I don't get a lot of sleep, like just give me the energy I need, like keep me in my optimal space where I'm energized. Like I forget the exact request I made, but I would definitely like feel that like rejuvenation and that energy with me where maybe I quote unquote shouldn't have had it. Of course I should have had it because I asked for it and I have that, ability to do that, and you all do. And so, of course, I had it. But, as far as some people's ideas of reality. So there were definitely times like I didn't sleep a lot, but I had like that energy, or I felt that like refreshedness and that like lift and that like ability to do things and stay energized and stay focused and be able to do as much as I did in that time period. Because that's also when I was doing a lot on like TikTok and like, so like all of a sudden I was like doing two things, but working night. It was interesting. But, so there's this capability we have to call upon greater strength and call upon the universe and the angels and source or whatever you work with, your spirit team, to boost us and to allow us to do things we don't think we can do or that most people don't think are possible, of course. And I think the more we open to that, it's because anything's possible, right? The more that becomes possible to you with all of that beyond what you ever imagined is what I'm saying. But I feel like you're something along those lines, like something like that. Maybe not literally that story, but you kind of have that happening where you get this power up or this boost to like push through or do things you never thought you could do. And for some of you, that might be like a permanent thing. Like you have this realization and then like all of a sudden this thing shifts and you are like, oh, I actually have tenacity. I actually can just push through certain things. I actually can just accomplish things. I can have tough conversations. I do have the strength for this, and like it just lasts. But keep that in mind, and maybe you'd like to call upon some angelic assistance to help you right now as well. But I think never mind. Sometimes I get redirected to start to say something, so that's that's what happens when I pause. So the next thing that they'd like me to bring through for you here, for your highest good here. Let's see. So yeah, on that same vein, some of you are getting like a permanent power up to get through this time period, and it's actually about abundance, and it's like you're going to be abundant forevermore. So congratulations in that, like whether you're getting a pay raise or you're just making this mindset shift or you're realizing what abundance is to you and living within that and moving towards that, like that is part of you being in your power, by the way. Okay, I'm getting all this like information today so far that seems like they're like having me talk about things I've heard before, but they've been good things. So I remember listening to a Lee Harris channel, and these guides were talking about how abundance and power can be interwoven a little bit. Because if you think about it, it depends on how you look at abundance too, I know. But if you look at abundance and include resources in your definition of abundance for a second with me for a second, and of what abundance is to you, it's like you having those resources does give you a bit more, for the highest good at least. It's not power over others necessarily, but power in the world. Because like if you have a good income, you don't have to rely on anyone else for money, and then they won't be doing weird power games with money. And if you have good people in your life who help you with money and don't do that, perfect. Like that's amazing. Thank you, universe, for your sake. But if anyone else has been in that situation, like, where you're at a job situation, that's your income, but your boss is being like a weird, doo-doo head, a cotton-headed ninny muggins from Elf or something. Then it's just like you're kind of like in that weird game that you're playing, which, by the way, I'm getting deeper into this. Like one of the things that came through, and I think that was also elite. I like to give credit where credit's due. That's why I talk about like where I've heard things before if I'm guided to bring that in. I don't like be like, oh, this is what I'm getting. I'm trying to give credit where credit's due. But another different thing I've heard, I think from Lee, was like a lot of that time when you have that, where you have difficulty with a boss as, because that's your income, that's like your sustenance. That's usually healing parental stuff from the past. Because if you think about it, like parents, it's like that's your sustenance and that's your food and that's your survival. So sometimes if you have that at work with like a boss or like a job situation, you're working through parental things. So maybe that's like a hint, or like a shortcut you could delve into to heal that, to shift that for some of you. And I'm not saying all of you would be going through that. I would hope you don't. Like that's some of just the worst things. Maybe not. I don't want to put that on that, but maybe that wasn't really true for me. But I know that can be really difficult if that's something that's happening. If it's not a big deal to you, cool, but keep that in mind. But anyways, what we were getting to originally, oh my gosh, is, you being in your abundance does give you your power in a sense, in a certain angle of looking at power and that frequency. And that could be a key to having more of your power, for some of you as well, is just some of how these frequencies interweave with each other and interlink, and realizing, because maybe some of you have been like neglecting joy, and you're like, I don't care about joy. I just need to get into a good place financially. I just need to get a good place here. And like joy can be on the back burner, but it's like, what if joy is interlinked with things in a way where that would bring you more money if you had more joy? So I don't know why I'm talking about that too, but keep that in mind, is because that's another thing that's channeled through from my channels, actually. I guess we're coming back to things I've gotten, where a lot of these higher frequencies are interwoven within each other or connected. So even if you just focused on joy, you might be bringing in peace. I'm not saying money is necessarily a higher frequency. A lot of the better things I've heard about with money are like money's a neutral energy, is usually some of the things maybe it's a high frequency. I don't know. You use your own intuition on it, but I've heard like money as a neutral energy has helped me with money, as like an idea. There's other things that can help with money, of course, but this is this is a reading, not like a 2-hour class. So we could treat it like a 2-hour class. I can do lives that are 2-hour classes if you want, maybe in the future on topics. But this is just where it's flowing right now. So that's why I'm talking about all this. And anyways, coming back to what we're talking about here, maybe like you're also calling on peace and abundance when you have joy, because maybe joy is something that brings money your way. What if joy brings money your way? And I've heard that from certain people where like money follows joy is like a quote I've heard. I think it's more access consciousness, people who talk about that in that way. But so one of the exercises I was going to post as like a TikTok video as like a question, and I guess I'm saying it now for you guys who are tuning in, and it could be helpful for you. So if this reading turns into something that's kind of not really a reading, but also it's in the form of a reading, that's fine. Whatever's for the highest good for you guys, whatever's going to help you out the most. And the question was like, what is one frequency, like a higher frequency you could focus on bringing in, that if you like brought it in would bring in all the other higher frequencies or would bring in a lot more higher frequencies? The other reason that was a question is because, you can answer that intuitively and see like, oh, I need to focus on joy and go that way. The other thing is like, though, in another reading I watched from another really good practitioner, I'm pulling from a lot of different stuff here today, I guess. But there's a reader who I've met more just like in my area earlier in my journey, but Anna Anthony is Anna's Synergy Healing on Facebook. I don't think she's has a huge like social media following, but she's really good. And one of the things that came through in one of her readings was that certain things beget more. So like if you have like a higher frequency, it begets more of that higher frequency. So if you have more joy, it can beget more joy. If you have more money or abundance, it can beget more abundance, So like if you have a lot of abundance, it's potentially easier to create more abundance with that abundance and just keep building it and compounding it. So one, that kind of talks about momentum and getting the momentum going in a direction you'd like frequency wise, with like cultivating and creating higher frequencies. And the big engine rev outside is my confirmation on that, if the mic picked up on it. Because then that compounds and begets more of those higher frequencies. So what daily habits can you put into creating higher frequencies to keep moving you in that momentum, so the higher frequencies can keep begetting the higher frequencies, so you can keep creating a better life for yourself? And if the higher frequencies are found within each other and connected to each other, what if focusing on like a keystone area or a couple could help compound and give you an easier time bringing in the rest of the higher frequencies, so you could perpetually create a better life through focusing on a few key areas, maybe, or more, with bringing in these higher frequencies. So, oh my God. Kind of talks about a couple different topics there, but I guess this is all coming in for you right now. One, not just for the fire signs, but for other people who might be listening. But two, because that's something they'd like you to focus on, is like, what frequencies need to shift? Like, what can you do to really build the momentum towards a better life for yourself and not feeling like stuck in sorrow for yourself in a situation when you have all the tools you need or can get them to begin shifting the frequencies to create a better life. And even if you're listening to this right now and you don't get it, you might get it a month later, or you might hear something else from someone else that clicks it into place where you're like, oh, and the puzzle pieces come together and you're able to move towards this or something similar, or maybe even something better for you that has the same idea or similar idea in the future. Oh my gosh, that all just poured out, but or through maybe rather. So hopefully that's helpful and that's something you needed to hear, but let's see what else would be that's going to come through for you right now. And part of the reason we're talking about all this is because I guess abundance is a key theme right now for everybody, and maybe even everything. And again, it came through in the collective, but it's a needed frequency on Earth. So anything you can do to move into abundance for yourself, you are helping the planets, as counter-logical as that might sound. It's not counterintuitive, because to me, intuition will give you the accurate information. But I'd say it's counter-logical because logically you'd think something else. Maybe not. If you're intuitive and your logic has kind of morphed in alignment with your intuition, then maybe it's not counter-logical, because then it becomes logical to follow your intuition because your intuition is accurate for you and leads you in the right directions, or the highest and best directions, and creates the highest and best for you. So words. Anyways, let's move on. Next thing they're showing me, I know mountain came through in the collective reading, but it's also coming through for this fire signs reading, is this like mountain that's showing up here. So the encouragement for you, it's a little bit different than the collective reading, but of course, like that collective reading could pertain to you because you have been part of the collective and you could go back and watch this. But if you are going through any challenges or alleged challenges or whatever you're going through, like keep going is the encouragement. One, it gets easier on the other side. It's kind of like someone who, they're on like snow skis in this intuitive visual. They have like these either snow skis or whatever, and they have those like poles and they're like moving up this mountain with their snow skis and their poles. And it's something out of like a Lord of the Rings, like one of those shots in the Lord of the Rings where they're like hiking along the ridges of these like grand mountains or something. And like the camera is panning around you like in this wintry blizzard as you move through this mountainous terrain on your snow skis. But once you get to the top, you get to just kind of ski down the other side like a lot more easily. And you have a parachute on you, I guess. So even if it turns into like extreme snow skiing in your world, metaphorically, like you're prepared. Like if you go off a huge like ramp, it's like you're fine. You just parachute down and keep going. But I feel like you're almost to like the top of something, or like you're on the cusp of a realization or like enlightenment, actually, even depending on where you're at with all this, or intuitive information coming to you. Intuitive hit is, I don't prefer that phrase, intuitive hit, but that's the words that are coming to me for you. But something like that's going to help you like make things easier, or you're just going to get to the other side of this challenge and it's all just kind of moves. It's kind of like if you remove a blockage in your energy systems and it all begins flowing again, and all of a sudden like life becomes easier and more joyful, and all the heaviness lifts, and you're like, oh, life can be easy. Life can be this joyful. It is like also another thing they're kind of showing where you're like releasing a trauma, and there's like a number of different ways this can show up as far as how it's actually showing up in your world. But just kind of keep going through any challenges because you're gonna make it, is what they're saying, and like soon. So keep going is the message. Like don't stop and ski down the mountain when you're almost at the top and you ski down the other side to your destination, because you're just going to find yourself climbing the mountain again if you give up now, is the way they're saying it. So whether this is something physical in your world, like you're trying to build an income, or it's something physical, like you're trying to leave a situation, or you're trying to whatever you're moving towards, just keep that in mind right now. The other thing with this mountain showing up here, they're kind of pulling from my time playing The Legend of Zelda. But there was these things that would happen in these games, the Legend of Zelda games, where there'd be these like great fairy fountains. And that might not be where they're going with it, but bear with me a second, because there's like this cave that is like there kind of at the top of this mountain, and the word I'm getting with it is respite. There is a fountain, but you go into this cave here, and what's going on here? There is a message about you getting a boost to your magic. In the video games, funny enough, I mean, there were a number of different things depending on the game you were playing you would get as a reward, I guess, for uncovering or discovering or finding this fairy fountain, or the fairy fountains found within the game, because there were multiple usually. But one of them in some of the games would be like an increase to your magic meter. Now, magic in real life isn't limited, so we don't have to say you have this limited meter or this limited mana or whatever, because it's unlimited, it's infinite. What if you're unlimited and infinite and have unlimited and infinite magic and unlimited and infinite gifts and possibilities and creation? And what if you can be infinitely potent and all that great stuff? I'm not sure if I should have said that, but it's true, you can be. So one of the things it's representing is an increase to your magic. Like you are magical, by the way, if you're watching this. They're showing me like this like unicorn. They're showing me fairies. They're showing me a fairy unicorn. I'm not sure if that's a thing. I'm sure in some coloring book there's like a fairy unicorn, like a unicorn with fairy wings and fairies all around it and all that. Tinkerbell is like a visual of Tinkerbell is also showing up as well. It's like a sign for some of you. But that's a side message about growing up, where it's like it's actually kind of time to grow up out of some old patterns if you feel like you're running certain patterns from, especially negative patterns from your childhood. And it's not like getting rid of your inner child. It's actually more like integrating your inner child and making it more a part of you, instead of having like an unhealed part of you running the show. Does that make sense? So I'm not saying like, oh, grow up, people listening to this reading, yeah, little kid. Yeah, it's more it's more like, okay, is there an area that would help you if you did, like just looking at it non-judgmentally, is there an area that would help you if you did like grow up a bit regarding it, or approach it more as like a grown-up spiritual person, with consciousness and awareness and your gifts and abilities. And it's not getting rid of the magic of childhood or inner child, it's integrating it. So you can be a whole person instead of flipping back and forth between unhealed child and adult who's like, why was I just acting like that? Not that it's a Jekyll and Hyde thing, and not that it's like it's definitely not like a mental illness or like weird thing like that. It's more like a fractured self, and I mean that more in like a therapeutic, not therapeutic, psychological means, not psychological disorder means. Do you understand? If you're like a therapist, if you've heard certain theories, like it might make more sense to you. What I'm saying here. Anyways, oh my God, because that was like a side message from that. But going back to the fairy fountain here, like more magic for you. I feel like you are integrating more, which is great. I feel like you have more gifts coming online for you, which is really cool. Just whether it's etheric and spiritual gifts, or it's like, some of us have a gift. It could be all of it. It could be multiple gifts in all areas, but some of us have gifts with communication, or we have gifts with like, we have a lot of energy for a lot of things in our life, and that's like a gift we have. Or we have a gift where we bring a lot of stability to our lives and the lives of others with an energy we bring. Or there's so many different, and that's not to limit it to even just those or those ideas or forms. Like there's so many forms gifts can take. In some way, shape, or form, like you have gifts you were meant to have this lifetime or bring this lifetime that are coming online now, and you're getting an expansion to your current set of tools and gifts. So that's really cool. But anyways, that's what that was saying. You're kind of getting that upgrade. So moving forward here, next thing we're moving to is the sky, and like just their constellations in the sky. Bear with me for a second, because like where this intuitive, I'll describe what I was seeing, and then we'll get into what they are saying it means, what the channel message is on it. And because like I guess I'm telling you this, I get the intuitive visuals, and then I get the knowing of what it means. I also get the channel message about it, what it means, and also the intuitive visual wise will also like give me words or tell me how it means, or just however else my intuition and channeling and gifts work. I'll know what it means. So that's a part of how it works when it shows up for me, because I don't want to limit it to that either when I say it, because how much better could it even get? But anyways, it was like it turned into the sky. There were constellations, and one of them was in the shape of like a brachiosaurus, but it was almost like the brachiosaurus that was the logo for like oh shoot, I forgot the name. There's like a gas station that uses the brachiosaurus. the long neck dinosaur is like it's like Sinclair, I think, or I want to say Dynaco, but I think I can't remember if that's a real gas station or if that's from like Toy Story or something, like Pizza Planet, like it's like a made up corporation, but whatever. But anyways, that shows up here. But the message for you is like, what will it take for things to be more sustainable for you, for your energy? In your world, like, do you need to change things around so you're not doing as much? Do you need to bring in certain like mindfulness practices or like yoga or more exercise to have more energy for your weekly, monthly, like regimen, your schedule? Like, what do you need to change around so you are sustainable? I guess like you're in like a sustainable thing. If you think of like gasoline and like sustainability, by the way, you probably already caught that. Not to mansplain, you get it. Can't totally clear anything that brought up, I guess. But that wasn't for the highest good. Sorry, I might have to explain that later. But anyways, where do you need more sustainability for like what you're putting out into the world, what you're doing in the world, for your energy systems? And even if you're like a really aware, like sensitive energetically or sensitively, oh my God, energetically aware person, and like you are going through situations that really are difficult for you regarding your energy sensitivity, like do you need some resources to help you with that, to make those activities or workplaces or whatever more sustainable, family gatherings? Like what can you bring in to make things easier for you regarding all that? Or do you need to cut certain like cords, if you will, and certain relationships with certain, whether it's individuals or groups or things that have always been, the words I'm hearing are devastating to your energy fields, or just to how you're feeling every day? Like, is it time to maybe make some changes so you're doing what's sustainable for you, and your energies that way? So however that's showing up for you, or maybe something else came to mind for you that wasn't exactly what I said, but it related, like that is also what they're saying, is what they were trying to get to for you. So Keep that in mind as well. Next thing they show me is a circus, and there's like circus balloons flying up into the air, and they're kind of playing that. Da, 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 da. So let me see what the circus is, what the message is with the circus showing up here for you. So I think the message, like some of you might judge, I'm not trying to call you out, but some of you might judge the circus as like, oh, it's like a circus, like it's a crap show. It's like it's a joke, you know, with like, because sometimes you have workplaces and it's just like no one seems to have a handle on anything, and it just kind of turns into a complete chaos, and people call it the circus, you know. That's not this, by the way. What they're saying regarding that, I need to say with it a second again, just to get that fully fleshed out message for you guys here. Yeah, they were saying some of you like judge the circus in some ways, but what they were actually trying to get to with this for you is like, what do you need to have more fun in your world? Or maybe you even find yourself judging other people for having fun. You're like, what are you doing? There's conflict in other areas of the world, and this is not to get you to judge yourself for doing this if you catch it, or not to get you to beat up on yourself, you know, if you're beating up on yourself regarding this. It's more just like, hey, that fun and play could be really good for you. Like that could really help you out and bring joy into your world and higher frequencies. And kind of like we had that talk about higher frequencies, getting higher frequencies, and them kind of being found, them being like connected or interwoven with each other, or being friends with each other and coming with each other. Don't go mine in the gutter with that. Unless you want to, then I don't judge. Sorry, that wasn't as funny. I don't feel like a lot of you found that as funny as I thought it would be. And because I can feel like the reaction sometimes when I say certain things. Like I can feel you guys energetically. And so if I say something that, like sometimes when I laugh after I say something funny, I'm laughing because I'm picking up on you guys laughing, and I find it funny myself. And sometimes I say something that I think will be funny, or it presents itself as perhaps being funny, and then you guys don't laugh, and it just feels like this, like it just feels like it goes totally flat or just completely misses. So not the accuracy of the messages, but the joke doesn't hit in a funny way. So that's why I comment on that sometimes. And maybe some of you laughed, and thanks, but not necessary. You don't have to laugh for my sake either. But anyways, we're coming back to the reading now, and we're getting back to this. Yeah, fun and play and joy. Speaking of all fun and play and joy, that could be really good for you and like a needed frequency, and could actually really turn your world around. So how can you bring more fun and joy and play, and not like judge the circus, and not judge people who are having fun, and be able to kind of let go of the story that if anyone else in the world isn't doing well, that you can't do well, or it's wrong for you to do well. Because it's like, what if that just means you're getting dragged down too? Or what if you doing well is an antidote to some of the other people? Well, I want to be careful with how I say this, because some of you are going to take this the wrong way, and I can already tell. Just in multiple ways. But what if you bringing a better frequency is part of the antidote? Not that it's your job, and if you're not in a good frequency, you're ruining the world or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But if like no one did well because someone else wasn't doing well, none of us would be doing well. And like I said earlier, some people just make the choice not to make their life better and to not do well. And that's fine. We don't have to judge them, but are we going to let them drag all of us down with them? And some people, yes, maybe it's not ostensibly their choice. Maybe it's not like, it's just something happening worldwide, and we can have total compassion for that, or just something that's going on with someone we can have total compassion with. Like I get that too. Blah. But what I'm trying to say as I navigate this maybe slightly sticky area for some people energetically is so give me some. You don't have to give me some grace, but maybe have some grace for this as we go through it, and try to just see what I'm saying instead of being meh, if any of you are like that, which it's fine if you are, whatever. Oh my God, sorry. You, as we said earlier in the collective reading, you getting to a good place is you bringing that energy of having a good place to the world and opening that possibility potentially for the highest good for others, and being an example of that for others to move towards that. Another example I could say for this, I heard from Lee Harris, that's kind of roping in, they're flashing it to me, which is why I'm talking about it. My spirit guides are flashing it to me, which is why I'm talking about it. Some of you who need more details about what's happening. And, or source is flashing. Oh my gosh. I'm just going to say what I'm going to say and you guys can figure it out. Sorry, it was something along the lines of like, if you go through something and you heal it, like let's say you used to have issues with abundance, like we've been talking about, and then you get to a really abundant place. And yes, that could be money, but that could also be like the relationships you have in your life and the type of romance you have in your life and you enjoying the work you do in your life and you having ease in your life and you having plenty of free time. Like abundance can show up in so many different ways for people and be maybe even something different for different people. But you getting to that abundant place and other people who are working through abundance issues, seeing that, like you also carry the energetic antidote or remedy or medicine in some ways for that person when they see you or they talk to you or you talk to them. And yeah, we don't have to limit it. Sure, maybe someone who's never been through something can channel the message and it's perfect and it lands and it helps someone, or intuit their way. For you intuitive healers in there who are like, I haven't been through all the things my clients are going through. If anyone was doing that, it's like, that's fine. I'm not going to limit it. You can help them. Why not? What will it take for that to show up? You being able to help anyone perfectly for the highest good, if you'd like to, if it's for the highest good, in ways that are for the highest good. Words and language. But, so consider that as well. Like you getting to that good place could be you helping other people get to that good place, or you holding a frequency in the world that's keeping certain things from being dragged down. Or because if we all went to a bad place, it would probably not be good for the world. So keep that in mind. I'm like beating that to a pulp today for some reason. Like it keeps showing up for me to talk about. So must be important for me to talk about it today. And I think I've said that before too in like the last live. So next thing they'd like me to get to here. They're talking about star, like they're showing me a star. It's like the superstar from Super Mario, of course. And it's like, it's also like about star power. So what's up with this here? So some of you are meant to be famous. That's interesting that's coming up here. So cool. Congrats to you. I would be setting intentions to like work with that for the highest good. And I feel like you would have more of that. But that's cool that that's showing up. So congrats to you. How's it get even better than that for you? For others of you, like this is also speaking to those of you who are really meant to make an impact, whether that appears in the world big or small, like as far as the group or size. No, one second here. However that shows up for you, like you're meant to have an impact and you're going to, and this is your confirmation on that. So don't give up on like trying to make the world a better place or trying to have an impact on people for the highest good, because I just feel like you're meant to is something I'm getting. And don't beat up on yourself if it doesn't look like someone else's. I don't personally like the phrase, you never know on a human level, but my spirit guides use it and I'll say it because that's what they're saying. They're like, you never know what like turns are coming or surprises are coming or like left or right, because the visual they showed me was like a right turn in the path, but they're saying left turns because I think that might make more sense with what I'm saying. But like the left turn or sudden turns in your path that come along that get you there, even if you just don't currently seem to realize there's a way possible to get there, physically. So try not to give up on that. Like keep calling that in if that's something you feel called to do. The next thing they're talking about is the monkey mind for you guys. And I feel like that's clearing. Like there's a big clearing to the monkey mind happening, or like even like overactive imagination or always jumping to the worst case scenario. So if some of you feel like you've been doom and glooming, I actually feel like you're just releasing, weird message, but you're releasing doom and gloom from your vocabulary. Maybe not those specific words, but like talking like that or perpetuating that energetically or anything like that with what you're saying. And you're actually learning to be high vibe. For some of you already are, of course. Like, so, take it as it resonates. For others of you with that message, it's just like you're getting rid of the last vestiges of like the monkey mind that would stick you whenever you'd go to do anything, or you're also learning to like work past it and not let it control you or your actions. Because maybe you go to like do something, like for example, start a business or do something you really would like to do, and it's like, what if this happens? What if this happens? And it's like 20 different scenarios flash through your head, and you're like, fine, I won't do it. But it's like actually like, what if you work past that and then that voice never bothered you again? Or because you had and it worked out, since you had the experience of working past it, following your intuition, regardless of that, and it worked out, you now have the tools in that that in your energy field, that you can work past the monkey mind with ease if it shows up in that similar way. And what if some of that shows up isn't even yours? You're just picking up on other people's stuff when you have things like that show up. And what if you can return that to sender and potentially not have to deal with it in the future? I'm slightly borrowing from Access Consciousness on that, but you can look into that on your own if you feel called to. So they're kind of done with the fire signs reading. I know that was like, woo, like kind of all over the place-ish, but hopefully it didn't appear that way to you and it was actually just what you needed to hear. So I'm not going to judge my work here. In fact, I'm going to stop pre-qualifying it like that and just let it be what it is. And I really hope that helps resonate with whatever's for us. We're going to move to the earth signs in just a second here. And we will be... Hey, Moon, good to see you here. It was great. Thank you. Your username shows up as Cloud, New Moon Cloud. So thank you. I appreciate it. It was fun. Thank you. I appreciate it. Resonated. Thanks, Samantha. Thanks for the feedback. I wasn't like fishing for compliments, but I really appreciate the feedback and you letting me know. You're welcome, Heather. So glad to hear it. Hey, Evid. That means a lot. You are welcome. Thanks, Lizette. So I'm so happy to be here with you guys. I really appreciate you guys. It's the words I'm getting to say, and it's genuine. It's also just popping up to be said. It's like it is an honor to get to be here and facilitate this for you guys and hang out with you guys and get a channel for you guys. So I really appreciate you being here and receiving what is for the highest good for you to receive. You're welcome, Jan. Good to see you, by the way, Jan. I feel like I haven't, which is like, it's not a pressure, like, oh, you should be here. I just feel like I haven't seen you as much. So good to see you. And maybe you've been around and I just haven't been checking my notifications as much, but, or haven't been looking at chat at the right times to see you. But thank you, Jennifer. It has been a while. Okay, yeah. And nothing wrong with that. Like, if people have their own journeys to go on or they need to take breaks or it's just, sometimes when I'm facilitating, it's not the right time for them. That's okay. Like I'd much, whether this meant to be part, oh my God, let me get the words out right. Whether this is meant to be part of your journey and this is a big part of it or however much of a part of it, or your journey entails going elsewhere or doing your own thing or listening to, like whatever is for your highest good, I would wish what's highest and best for you and 100%. So don't ever let me keep you, by the way. I just wanted to put that out there. It's Monday here and I should be working, but I'm freelance, so it's okay. Well, who's to say what you should be doing? Abundance, love, joy. I'm just kidding. Good to see you, by the way. Abundance, love, joy is always good to see you. Maybe you'll get like a good like fire after this, and then you'll just start like, rocking it with your work. Your joy keeps everyone coming back. Thanks, Tara. That's a good reminder for me, and that means a lot. So I'm going to hang out for just a second longer. I'm going to drink some more water, then we're going to start the earth signs reading. How does it get any better than this? Beep, 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 beep. Marina asked, hey, did last week's channel record for the live? No, it did not. Marina, good to see you, by the way. I'm going to do this while I'm remembering, because I remembered the last few lives I'd end the live and be like, oh, I didn't shout out the moderators, but shout out to Marina and any of the other moderators that are here. Thank you for being here, and no pressure to be here every Sunday, by the way, but for doing the moderating that you do, I so appreciate it. Please, if you feel called, give them a round of applause in chats or wish good things for them. Facilitate some love going their way, maybe. Whatever works for you is a way for that. When do I think I'll do air? So I'm going to do earth signs reading, then we're going to do air, and we're going to do water, and we're going to do full channel mode is the plan. So thanks to the moderators that have been helping out, because it helps chat work smoothly. And I know some of you in chat are great too, who just hang out and you just tell people what's going on if they're newer or anything like that. So thank you as well, because I think this is a great community. And what I hear is it's a really wonderful community. So awesome. And that is also that is you as well. If I'm getting into a wonderful community, that has to do with you and what you guys are, I guess, contributing to this by being here, if that's a way to say it. I don't know. I don't want to make you feel like you're forced to bring things to this, but I'm trying to get the right words out for this. So whatever would be highest and best. Sometimes my way of getting around that, if you ever notice me saying this, is I'll just be like, whatever would be the best way to say it, is like the way I'll say it. Because I guess I'll tell you, because sometimes, like, this is getting into a weird other topic, but have you ever had it happen where you're trying to describe something that was like an energetic experience to someone, and then like it was like the words didn't perfectly fit, but they kind of did, but then after you said it, it's like what showed up energetically like more fit the words you said than what it was before, even if it wasn't bad or didn't like really change it too much as far as like the effect or results. Because like that like annoys me sometimes. And so like I try to just channel the best words to say, or sometimes I'll set the intention like, okay, I'm going to ask that I'm going to try to describe this the best that I can. It doesn't change it energetically. It's just describing it. And it doesn't change it at all. Or I'll set the intention, like if I say something and it doesn't feel quite right, I'll just be like, okay, whatever the best words to have said would have been, or the best way to describe it, to kind of set the intention, like that energy, the way it was showing up is just going to either be as amazing as it was before, or just get greater. So that's my thing. That's my rant, I guess, in the middle of all this while we're talking about it. Yeah, Jessica, totally. Like when you get like an intuition or something about how something works, and you're just like, oh, I get it, and then like you try to put it into words, it's like, it's just kind of beyond words sometimes. I'll answer this because this could help everybody. Emma asks, what tools do you use to get out of a stuck mindset? Asking for myself. So first one's gonna be really, really obvious, and we'll get into some other ones as well. But honestly, channeling is huge. I think because like anymore, like when I check in, like, do I even get into stuck mindsets anymore? They're like, yeah, sometimes, but also not really. So, okay. But channeling can really get you out of that, because if you have something that's like coming up or in your mindset, and like you channel for yourself, like automatic, like, channel writing for yourself, like it can just kind of tell you what's going on or what to do next, or like what the truth of a situation or something is, to kind of get you out of that. It also has like that frequency of channeling, like the energetic transmission that potentially lifts you out of that as well, and does like something akin to energy healing for the highest good, whatever the right words to use would be, for that. So I know like that can be something, if you're newer, you're like, well, how do I just channel? It can be a practice that you work on if you're newer, where maybe you channel for yourself every day and see what comes through and start to work on that. A couple resources you could utilize for that. One, I do have an intro to channeling class that I facilitate sometimes, but if I don't resonate for you as the right person, there's also like Lee Harris has some content that's good for like learning to channel as well. He's another channeler that's really good. I think he has like a course on it too on his website you could check out that's not too pricey. He also like, he'll talk about like just, well, I see, here's the thing. There's a lot I could talk about to like help with this, but I don't want to give you too little information where it's like, oh yeah, just try this. And then you're like, get stuck on it. And like, you need a lot more. And like, if I took an hour to talk about it, you'd be able to do it, something like that. So I don't want to like leave you with too little information, but those are some ideas to look at. Or just if there's anyone else who teaches channeling that you find that resonates for you, cool. But that's one way. Two, another thing, like energy healing is great. Like if it's a self Reiki session, or I put something on, because I can really just shift the energies and get rid of mindset issues entirely, just energetically, or what's underneath it, and get rid of it, or just however it works. It can really shift it for the highest good, and really get to the root of things, so you never have that issue again. Channeling and energy healing both is what I'd say. I'd also look into things like access consciousness. For me, it can also be an additional tool set and modality that's helpful for me to rope in with everything else I'm doing, or utilize with everything else I'm doing, because they have a lot of stuff that's great for everything else they talk about, but also great for getting out of certain patterns or mindsets, or even like monkey mind and getting to your knowing and intuition. They use knowing instead of intuition as a word. But they have like their own kind of almost like language that they speak, not literally, but sort of, with like just some of the ways they use certain words, and just some of the words they omit from what they say, but it's fine. Just use whatever resonates for you for now. And both can work, honestly, is what I'm getting. And that's like a whole journey you could go on learning anything about that. So if that feels like something resonant for you, the book Being You Changing the World Is Now the Time by Dr. Dain Heer is a great book to start with, because that talks about a lot of the access consciousness, well, at least a certain amount of the access consciousness tools and things you can work with for that. And kind of walks you through working with them, or the audiobook is great. And then he has a lot of YouTube videos. And if you watch, read, listen to enough of his or access consciousness videos, you'll really get the sense of how, and they'll walk you through like, and you'll understand pretty quickly how they work with it and how to work with it and how you can use it. So, or maybe not, maybe it would take a while, but that's another idea for you to help with mindset stuff. Because really for me, like intuition, channeling, energy healing, or access consciousness modality, all those things have been really helpful for getting out of mindset stuff, because you're getting out of in some ways, you're getting out of the mind. Like you're kind of going beyond the mind when you channel. You're going beyond the mind when you work with your intuition. Is that true? And maybe for intuition, that's a yes and no, because maybe your mind can be part of your intuition in certain ways. They liked how I said that, so that's a bit closer, if not it. But you're kind of getting out of the mental like bullshit, and you're also shifting the energies underneath it, or getting rid of what's like the root cause of it usually. So that's why I would approach some of it that way. You could also look into just body things as well. Like for example, if you have like trauma trapped in the body, like you can look into yoga to help move trauma, or you can look into dance to help move trauma, or you can look into sound healing to help move some of that out of the body as well. As sound healing is great for clearing energies too. So you could use all those different tools and all the tools found within those modalities as different ways to maybe approach that. The other thing that's helped me too is finding the right people this is a bit more maybe easily implemented, but finding the right people to listen to that have a good mindset themselves, or approach things intuitively, whether it's readings like this, or whether it's channelers, like Lee Harris, or maybe it's my channeling that helps you, or something like that. Because when there are certain people who are good, who approach things intuitively, or channel things in the way that resonate and help you, and like land in your world in the right ways to shift things. One, both the frequency, because if you're watching a full channel mode if you're watching a full channel mode like video, like with me or with Lee or someone else who's good, I'm not trying to toot my own horn with that, but I'm trying to say like find someone who is good and like resonates for you, and like you are like, yes, this is great. Like there's also that transmission, the energetic transmission that goes with it. And that does a few things. I guess I'm talking about channeling now as well. That can create shifts and changes within you. It can do something like energy healing. It can also facilitate upgrades. And I never want to limit it. It could do a lot of things that are for the highest good, like shift your life, shift you for the highest good, upgrade you, etc. It also, like that frequency, or that or the transmission can open your third eye and intuition and your channeling as well if you're meant to channel. So I can do a lot of great things, but you're kind of getting like the message as well, which can help. Like when there's a channeler, like there could be a message in there that really lands right, and you're like, oh, and it like shifts things for you, and you get the frequency, and that shifts things for you. Maybe they both work together. Maybe they're working on, landing in different ways to help you as well, and working together. I'm trying to get it out in the words the best I can, but let's not limit how it's showing up based on the words I'm using either. So watching certain channelings have helped me. Watching certain people or readers have helped me as well, if they are coming at it intuitively in the ways to say the things I need to hear to shift things, So I would also try to get away from people who have a shitty mindset, straight up, or people you listen to and you just always feel worse afterwards, like perpetually, like in a really bad way. You're just like, oh, I listened to this like podcast about dating, but I feel awful, and I feel like I'm wrong, and I feel like I'll never have love because I'm not, XYZ. And it's like, well, that's probably all BS in the first place, and 2, that's probably their stuff, and 3, it's probably not true. So try to pay attention to like, how are you doing after certain hangouts, after certain interactions with people, after certain things. And if you feel lighter and better, great, perfecto. And it's one thing if you like something comes up while you're listening to something and maybe that frequency is bringing that up to be released. If it's like a channel or something, or it's like an energy healing session you watch on YouTube. Anything else specifically for you or for this conversation that would help regarding mindset shifting though here? This is going to sound so boring and lame, but the last thing they're saying is like meditating, you know, whether it's a guided meditation or something else, and just like getting silent or having some stillness and like just kind of letting the bullshit subside and allowing your awareness to come forward and for you to realize things is also going to help with shifting things. So I would take what I'm getting for you. This might seem excessive, but see if you can do it, or see if you can do something similar, an hour a day for like stillness, whether that's meditation, or maybe that involves yoga, you know, where you're silencing the mind, but you're moving, or maybe that's playing with a singing bowl or some sound healing things for an hour, or just maybe it's just sitting there and you have a journal there and you just write down your realizations or intuitions or channel messages, but something like that could be helpful for you. And if you can't do an hour every day, try an hour every other day, try half an hour a day, try 10 minutes a day, try an hour a week. I don't know, do something you can do. And also, you know, you could also try walks along that same vein as well, which sounds simple, but it can really help and work. So I know some of that was maybe basic with some things you could try, but you know, there's a lot of different people I could be talking to with this. So I hope any of that was helpful for you and anyone else. Fully for that is good. Oh, totally, Emma. Yeah. And sometimes those are the exact thing you need. And sometimes you need both. You need the spiritual resources, and it'd be helpful if not for you, I'm not saying this for you, but in the implied you, general you, it's helpful if you exercise as well. And kind of approach, you know, everyone says holistic, but I think holistic kind of got co-opted a little bit to mean like people who put herbs inside of you when you go see them, which is fine. Herbs are great too. I'm not trying to denigrate any of that, but I think, and I could be wrong about this, but holistic can also mean like doing the physical thing and the spiritual thing and going to, you know, God forbid, the Western medical doctor for some things if you need it, and going to the acupuncturist or going to the Reiki healer. And so I think trust your intuition on all that. You don't have to force any of that, but all of it kind of belongs, and I would be open to whatever would be for your highest good for each situation. So, oh my God, I have been talking for a long time, which is kind of what I'm supposed to do here, right? But sometimes like I'm channeling and it just starts coming through. And then like once I'm done channeling for that person, it kind of like snaps in. I'm like, oh, I need to start the reading. So it's not like I step out of channel mode. We kind of like switch phases maybe. Or maybe switch modes of intuition. Beep, boop, boop. Let's start. Wait, is there anything else I should talk about before we start Earth? Okay, side message coming through for everyone here. You have a lot of abundance coming your way, not away. Sorry, canceling clear. You have a lot of abundance coming your way is what I'm getting, whatever abundance means to you. I feel like that's this year, which is really cool. So there is like abundance opening up as we're kind of sitting here, and maybe just in general, other things you're doing too. So if you have an Earth sign, Sun, Moon, or Rising, this is for you when you see it. You're welcome, Emma. I hope that was helpful for you and everyone else who listened. Abundance of joy. So, sorry, I read your comment, Cynthia, and I felt like singing it. So I guess. So if you have an Earth sign, Sun, Moon, or Rising, this is for you when you see it. And I'm going to flow with the channel messages coming through from my spirit guides, angels and source for you, along with working my intuition for you. And we're just going to bring through what would be for you guys good, what do you need to hear, etc. So let's begin the reading. They're starting with the bulldozer. I thought this showed up for you last week too, or one of the readings last week. But bulldozer is showing up, and the message is, don't freak out about this. Don't freak out about this. Don't freak out. Don't. The message is like, destruction is necessary. It reminds me of a channeled message I got. I can't remember if I was just waking up or if I was meditating or what I was doing because sometimes things just, come in whenever. But I remember getting this intuitive visual. It was like of a bulldozer or something. And the message was like, the words that showed up with it were like, sometimes destruction is source's will, or destruction is source's will sometimes, which is really fascinating. So destruction doesn't have to be like the devastation of our world, the devastation of our relationship, the devastation of everything we hold dear. it can be light and fun and joy and freeing and ease filled as well. It could be like, oh, I don't have to believe that anymore. Oh, I don't have to have money issues anymore. I can be free of that and just have ease. Oh, I don't have to have problems anymore. So it could be destruction of certain things like that even too. But I'm going to sit with what they're trying to say for you before I get too far into that. So I actually do, funny enough though, I feel like there is destruction coming that you might even love, whether that's like destruction to certain like outward things that you, and I'm not saying you despise are the words that are coming to me. And for example, like, I'm not trying to like bring judgment into this or get you to judge people, but the way it's coming through is like, maybe there's someone that they like choose to operate from, not you, someone else, that choose to operate from kind of like a really dark place and bring a lot of quote unquote bad things to the world or something like that. And like, they're kind of getting theirs, I guess you could say, is the way it's like justice is showing up. Like maybe someone mistreated you or something from the past. Or it could be certain organizations that harm the planet are kind of, justice is kind of coming to them in some way and they have to change their ways and become more ecologically friendly or something like that. Or maybe it's something like that. I'm not saying you need to enjoy the downfall of your enemies or something like metal. It's more like, man, for some reason, somehow, some way, there is some destruction coming that you're going to enjoy. Like maybe it's something that's in your way and it gets destroyed and you're like, yes, awesome. Or it's like something that's like always held you back and it just gets demolished. You're like, fudge. Yes, sorry. I don't think I can swear on TikTok. So, but if I do, it's okay. Probably. Oh, well, plug your ears, kids. Sorry, I'm just kidding. Not that all of you are kids, of course, but, the mean man said the F word on the channeled message. Sorry, cancel it clear. Yeah, so, and it could be mindset things like we just talked about, could be something else. So anyways, let me see what else is coming through here. I feel like the other thing is like, there's this message that destruction is your way forward in a certain sense. So maybe you're watching like destruction happen in some area and you're like, oh, that's interesting. That's just kind of getting destroyed. That's like falling apart. But it actually like opens up a path like to success or to like your next step for you. So an example could be, I don't want to put this out there and create any of this, but maybe an example would be if like there was a platform you were operating on and all of a sudden it like shut down. Like if you, I don't know, maybe you had a mailing list on MailChimp. I'm not saying anything about MailChimp. This is just an example. Not a prediction about MailChimp. Full disclaimer on that. But like something like shut down and you had to like switch to a different platform or something. But then like that platform had everything you needed to like actually start succeeding and it started working out for you or something like that. Or like a friendship falls apart, but then all of a sudden like the best people in the world that are your friends forever come in, and like help is an example, come in. So destruction could be like getting you out of a stuck situation or getting you out of things you'd like to get out of or just moving you forward. So interesting message, but I hope that makes sense. And that could also be a message there to help you not judge destruction that's already underway. So you can be more in allowance of what's happening. So you can see the benefits of what's transpiring in your world to get you to where you would like to go and need to go, which is cool here. Next thing they're showing me is a pirate ship and sorry, they're kind of being funny at the same time, at least for me, because there's like a pirate ship and then there's like this treasure chest and then there's a pirate. They're showing the pirate from SpongeBob, if you'll remember that show and that pirate. And like, but this pirate like opens up the treasure chest and he's like, me booty. But let me see what the message is with you with the pirate ship and the booty and the So some of you might have gotten like rewards from Source or from the universe, or like you've gotten some treasure in your world and like it lands on your ship and like you open it and you're like, oh, great. But then you're kind of like, is that it? Because it's just like one treasure chest. Like you were expecting a lot more. It's like you found this like legendary treasure and you were taught there's going to be like 12 treasure chests of infinite abundance and joy. And I don't know, what do pirates like? Mermaids, and not that you're a pirate, by the way. Whatever you're in, mermen, whatever you're into. And you just get this one treasure chest and you're like, yeah, it's valuable. Like that'll set you up. Maybe it'll set you up for life even in this intuitive visual. Don't take it too literally unless that applies literally. Cool. Congrats. But you're like, you were expecting more. But the message is that more is coming in. Now that I've got that out of my mouth to describe it, like you get like all these treasure chests that like land in your boats, or like a whale shows up and just like spits them out on your boat. And they're like, there you go, finally. And like maybe you've been waiting on this for a while, like it's rewards or manifestations from the universe, actualizations, whatever word you use or however it works. I probably didn't need to qualify all that, but that's cool though, because that just means like I'm getting like February and beyond for this. So next month and beyond, if you're watching this in the future, like all these rewards are coming in for you that are more along the lines of what you've been asking for. Because sometimes like you're working towards things, you're manifesting things like, yeah, I got this thing, this is great. And like, yeah, it's turning into what I desire. It's just like, it's not totally there. And I just feel like there is coming, or more of there is coming, and you'll get there. Just be patient. Keep pounding is the words that are also coming to me. And that kind of leans in with another message that I get sometimes, like keep trucking, but it's a little bit different. Like keep pounding is, if you think of like, sorry to bring American football into this, but some of you might love American football, so nothing wrong with it. But you know, when they like run the football, the American football, and I'm saying American football because there are people who are international who listen to this and watch this, so I'm trying to be considerate and descriptive in a way that will suit everybody for the highest good. Better. And they'll talk it like they're like pounding the ball. Like they just keep pounding the ball, keep pounding it forward. Or it's also like if you're working through something and you're grinding through something, you just keep pounding, you keep pounding, and then you break through, or you finish the thing and you're like, yeah, accomplished things and stuff. I'm also kind of getting that for you right now with like your dreams or anything you're working toward. Like keep pounding. Like it's paying off. It's paying out. It's going to work. Or you'll be switched to the things that will work. And so keep pounding. Regardless of what you're working through or working on. And I think they'd like to get to here, they're giving the words new destination. So we're on the pirate ship still. It's very vivid. It's very vivid and realistic. Is that the right word? Very vivid the way it's showing up here. Like there's the creaks of the pirate ship and the ropes and the wood, and it's as it hits the waves, and there's the seagulls, and the sound of the waves and the wind is this ship is bobbing in the water, and the words that show up in the horizon are new destination. So this pirate is taking the wheel and he's moving the ship, he's spinning the wheel, turning the ship, and it's different than what you were expecting, but it's way better. So you were kind of expecting to maybe even go to this like pirate war that's going on, and this pirate battle, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna have to fight, and I'm just gonna get drunk right now so I don't have to be afraid while this is happening and upset and stuff, and I don't know, weird things like that. But then the ship kind of turns at the last second, you're going to paradise. So you might be expecting like really bad or terrible things right now that just aren't going to happen, is the message that's coming through. Like you're actually headed towards new ground and territory for yourself that's unexplored, at least for you, but it could be just in general. Like you're experiencing new things in the collective or in the world, energetically or otherwise. That's really cool. And you're kind of breaking new ground, opening new territory, allowing new abundance in with this, because you're not limited based on others' definitions of what can be. You're opening up new territory for yourself and just being like, what would be best, or what's possible beyond what has been before. So it is time to create your reality and create the highest and best for you, and not worry about other people's limitations, definitions, but it's really like, what would you desire really? And what would you like? Even if no one's ever had it before, or it doesn't seem like anyone else thinks it's possible, like who cares? Like what's possible for you? What can you create? What can you have? It's like, that's kind of where you're headed, is what I'm getting, which is fascinating to me. So keep creating that, keep moving towards that if you're doing anything to move towards that. And you have new destinations opening up that are going to be really abundant and joyful for you if you keep going. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of the future. I would allow the future and keep calling in the best possible possibilities for you, because it's working. If you're doing anything like that, it's working. Next thing here, we're still on the pirate ship, but in this instance, the pirate ship's like rudder. They're the part they use that goes on the water that like steers where the ship goes. I didn't need to explain that, did I? But the part of the ship that steers the ship is like gets jammed and stuck, and it kind of goes on this like I almost want to say crash course, or like the words that are showing up. I don't think you're going to crash, but it's like you're still heading towards the new destination. But it's like in some ways it's kind of like, there's like songs like Jesus Take the Wheel, but it's like Source is taking the wheel. Not to bring religion into this for anyone who are trying to work through your religious trauma, but and some of you are like, yeah, Jesus, and you're into that, and that's whatever, that's fine. I'm not here to judge you either way. And if it's working for you, perfect. But the ship's going towards, it's kind of like Source is, I'm sorry, I realized that some spit might have just flew out of my mouth as I was talking. And there's this human body that I'm like, incarnate with and in, and sometimes there's spit. And when I talk, like spit flies out of my mouth sometimes. So that happens. Anyways, the message was like, let me say with it, I do get that Source is locking you into a good trajectory. That's the way I'm hearing it, where it's like you might be tempted to even like abandon ship, or you might be tempted to like, if things get too good, you start to self-sabotage. You're like, oh my God, it's people are actually following me on social media, or people are I'm actually getting money, or I'm actually, I actually have good friends and I don't know what to do with this good energy. Oh my God. And you're like ready to like just tank it because it's unfamiliar, uncomfortable. And Source is kind of forcing you through that so you can have it, which is great actually, even if it's uncomfortable. But also you might be tempted to like buy like shiny things that look cool, but they're not. And like, let's say you're dating someone who's great for you and attractive, and then like some other random hot person from whatever hot is to you, hot person from the past shows up and they're like, wait, now that you're doing well, why don't you come back to me? But it's like just a crap show if you did, and they're like a crap show. Sure, maybe there are hot people from the past who are doing great. I don't know. But, as far as this reading is saying and what that's symbolizing and representing as an example for you, it's like, it might be tempting to, for some of you, self-sabotage, for others of you, like go a different direction than what would be best. And Source is kind of making it so you're locked into this good trajectory or better. I feel like it's only going to improve based on what I'm getting if you're like worried about it being locked into less than what could be best. So don't worry about that. Work with Source on that. Talk to your spirit team about that. But yeah, so that's I feel like that's positive, and that's not to take away possibility from you. It's to open up the higher possibilities that are possible if you work through this. Does that make sense? So next thing, ice cream sundaes, I guess, like to show up today, or are liking to show up today as intuitive visuals, or they're like, oh my God, let me rephrase. They're showing me ice cream sundaes again for this reading here. So it's about sweetness in your world, and it's also about being sweet to yourself. So sometimes we are sweet to everyone else, and it's kind of that stereotypical, like you serve everyone else before yourself. And you're like, oh, I'm going to give you my energy or maybe not literally giving your energies away, because I know that gets into a weird territory for people here. But, like spending all this energy and time with this, and spending all this energy and time on this for this person. And then like you're kind of depleted by the end of it. And then like if you don't take time to fill up, you're just kind of running on empty, and you're kind of running on your reserves, and it's not working, and then you kind of crash, and then you have to like take a month to rest, and then like your stuff kind of falls behind, and then it's like a vicious cycle. And so they're kind of talking about like, where do you need to give sweetness to yourself, and how can you give enough to yourself first that you're not pulled around by everyone else? Of course, this is a reminder, of course, you know what I'm talking about. Giving too much to other people first, getting pulled around by everyone else first, or in any sort of energetic slavery to anyone else, first and foremost, where you don't have any time or energy for yourself or anything. And that could just be like giving yourself self-care, giving yourself some things you enjoy every day, giving yourself, speaking of access consciousness, that one of the things that they've talked about is like spending 30 minutes a day, like nourishing yourself. Something that's nourishing to your body, your being, your soul, your energies, whatever you want to say, like all of you that you do for 30 minutes a day, whether it stays the same or switches up, it's just something nourishing to you 30 minutes every day to stop like doing that to yourself. They called it self-deading. I'm using different words for you, like, what already came through that I'm not remembering because I was channeling it and intuiting it, mostly channeling it. Oh my gosh, sorry. And so something like that, how can you serve yourself first? The thing is, like, the other thing they're trying to explain to you with this is like, if you were at a feast and you served your plate first, you would probably be full. And there's still plenty of food to go around for everyone else. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if you went to old country buffet, like if you wait all day to eat because you want everyone else to eat, there might not be as much left over than if you just like took your plate, were full, and then there's still plenty of food for everybody, who comes into old country buffet. I know some of you like might be having like horror flashbacks of old country buffet, and like, I don't know, or maybe it's Golden Corral, whichever one people are like, oh my God, I can't believe I ate there and I feel so like throwing up. I don't know if it's golden, and I don't want to put anything bad on it if you love those places, because I've had perfectly fine I think perfectly fine meal. Maybe I haven't. Meals at like the buffet places, but depending on where you go, maybe depending on the location. But next message for you guys here, please serve yourself first. That they'd like to get to. It's about intuition. They're showing me indigo. They're showing me the third eye chakra, that one. And, whoop. Hey there, friends. It was funny because I hit the mic and I looked at it and it was like indigo-ish colored there for a second. So, but the message for this is, it's actually a question like, what does your intuition need? Because your intuition is looking to expand. So another message for you is how can you serve your intuition or be of service to your intuition so it can expand right now? Like, what do you need to do to give it what it needs to become fully, I don't know if fleshed out's the right word, but fully at the place you'd like to get to for your next level or next levels, or wherever it's trying to get to, that's greater for you for the highest good. So it could even just be like resting more and allowing yourself to integrate your experiences. It could be doing something like an exercise every day for your intuition, or listening to a certain thing every day, or watching a certain something like that. Like, see what comes to you when I say that. If nothing comes to you, then maybe come back to this at another time and reconsider it. Well, let me see if I get something for you guys. They're like, no, I feel like this is for you to like kind of discern or see what comes to you, or maybe it just flashes in your mind really quickly while we're talking about it, and it's like meditating, or maybe it's showering. Like, it could be anything, and maybe being in the water is going to help you somehow. I don't know, but or your energy field somehow, or your body somehow to reset, to allow your I'm just kind of saying examples of that, but sit with that for a second, because your intuition would like to open. Maybe it is open wide. It would just like to expand and up level. Maybe for some of you, it would like to open wider and be like all it can be. And it's calling you to do self-care and take care of yourself and it in a way that allows it to unfold. And it's kind of also like cultivating the proper environment for it to flourish, maybe as well a little bit. It was like flashed in as an example, like, how you cultivate the environment for a plant so that the plant can flourish. Or if you get like, they showed a bearded lizard, when you have like the sun lamp and you have like the bugs you throw in the tank and you get the temperature right. And, or like if you have a pet, like you get the right environment for the pet to like thrive, hopefully, and enjoy its life to the greatest capacity it can. Right. But, and maybe that's not the perfect analogy for what we're talking about here, but at least something to support your intuition and expanding. Next, they're talking about the crown chakra here. So what do your upper chakras need? And also, what do your upper etheric chakras need? Like, you're kind of being called to self-care for your upper chakras right now, interestingly enough. And could be very simple. It could just be meditating 10 minutes a day, or it could be channeling for yourself every day. See what comes to you, if anything. Or maybe an exercise for the upper etheric chakras will show up on YouTube after this. You'll be like, oh, cool, you can put that on it. If that shows, or something shows up. Hopefully something shows up, or you get the intuition on it. But I feel like that's going to help you a lot right now, because a lot of expansion happening, and keeping that balance up there could be key for you, just as a heads up for you. So elephant, spirit animal, showing up next for you, as well as Ganesha, Hindu deity of removing obstacles. I know many of you are familiar, some of you aren't with that, but let's see. It's kind of just like obstacles are just disappearing for you in a way, which is really cool. Or certain movies will have something where there's like it looks like there's a wall or like something in the way of the protagonist, but it's just like it's like a projection, like a projector, but you could walk right through it because it's not really real or something like that. And they're kind of showing it like that, where you could walk right through some of the things that seem like they're in your way right now pretty easily. So I'd be trying things even if they seem intimidating or look like a challenge, or if it seems like there's no way forward. Like, what if there is kind of, and I know like we had a message earlier about destruction leading the way forward too. Maybe this is part of it in some way, where you're realizing like some of the things you thought were real and in the way aren't, and somehow some capacity, if that makes sense to you. And, but it's also kind of like in the intuitive visual, they showed these like things, like whether they were holograms or projections or whatever, just kind of like blinking out and like fading, and like you could move right through them. And I feel like that I'm going to stay with it a second longer, because it's like that's kind of what's happening, but I want to see what they have to say about that. It's kind of like obstacles are being removed that way for you. So be a little bit patient if there are obstacles. There's a lot that's kind of flattening out for you to move forward more easily. again, there's that destruction happening, and you have a lot of obstacle removal taking place. Thank God. I think some of you are thinking, but that's also the words I hear, like, thank God. So that's cool with all that. So they're kind of done with that reading. So I hope that helped resonate to do whatever was for your highest good. For some reason, they're showing me a lollipop as well and giving the message like things don't have to suck for you. And like, this is going to be a little bit confronting maybe, but the message also was like, they never did. And that's not to get you to beat up on yourself or be mad at, I mean, if you're mad at me, whatever, you can be mad at me. But the other thing is like, if that's possible, if it was possible that things never had to suck and things don't have to suck, like, I think that's a great possibility for joy, because if you can move into that possibility and actualize that, then nothing sucks. And like, even if it was the case that nothing had to suck in the first place, like, okay, maybe you got some great things out of things sucking, or you got something out of that. It doesn't have to be like things were wrong or bad, or it wasn't how it was supposed to go, or it wasn't how it was meant to go. It's more just like, what if that helps? What if realizing that helps you step into ease? Or what if realizing that helps you get rid of things needing to suck, and then things don't have to suck, and then you can have things not sucking? Does that make sense at all? I just get it's possible, and they'd like you to know that. And maybe just me saying that's going to open that possibility and help you to create that, actualize that, receive that, manifest it, whatever. And also, it's just a message, so you don't have to let that rule your world. What if you have to fry chicken for a living? I don't remember. I'm not sure what that's talking to you. Hi, Authentic Mystic. Good to see you, by the way. Literally was going to say that. Thank God. Perfect. There you go. It was synchronistic for you too. I have to remember the time change. Oh, for the lives. Yeah. Thanks, Moon. Okay, I'm going to stretch because I've been sitting here and everybody, or don't stretch, or do stretch, or do whatever you want to do. Anarchy, just kidding, canceling there. So 1 second, I'm going to drink more water. This one's very full, so I'm going to try not to spill. And as usual, you are very welcome for the drinking water ASMR interlude. So we're gonna do air signs in a second here. I might hang out for just a second. Okay, I need to use the restroom. If I'm not gonna take you with me to use the restroom. You're gonna stay here if I use the restroom. But hey, Angela, restroom away. So there was an option I saw to pause the live. I was tempted to do that. I don't think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm going to instead go use the restroom and just show up in like 20 seconds or so. So it's gonna be really quick. It's number one. Not that you needed to know that. Sorry if that was TMI. But I'll be right back. I'm just gonna use the restroom so that I'm not like squeezing my legs together while I'm channeling for you guys for the next like hour, however long this goes. See ya. Okay, me back. Hello, beautiful friends. Okay. Thanks, moderator. Thanks, thanks, Marita. I so appreciate you putting that up so people knew what was happening. That means a lot and it's very helpful. And I forget that can be done. So thanks for helping with that. We back. We are refreshed. The bladder is empty. Empty. Is it fully empty? My mind went into like the technicalities of like, after I use the restroom, does that mean it's fully empty or is there still some like residual? It's mostly fully empty. So I don't know, or maybe, I don't know. Sorry, I was getting into the how bladders worked, and that's probably not where we need to go right now. So is it ever truly empty? Yeah. So, okay. Hope that was at least fun. And I know for like some of you people who are intuitive or channel, I'm not sure if you will have had the same experience where like everything you say, you're like, oh, is that true? Oh, is that true? And like all of a sudden you're like checking everything. You're like, oh, does the bladder get empty? Oh, does it? And then all of a sudden you're just like, it's just fun. And it's also awesome that we can do that. But hey, Abigail, good to see you. We all know. Sorry, I'm not trying to be. Potentially, Moon. Yeah, potentially. That's funny, Marianne. We're going to start the air sign. Sorry, I'm just holding this air sign. I'm just a dude on your live feed holding air signs that say air. Heck yeah. Thanks, Abigail. So appreciate it. So we're going to start the, do I happen to be neurodivergent? So I can understand why people might think that, but what I get is no whenever I check in on that. Maybe sort of depending on some people's definitions. Like I think that conversation is a very interesting one about like neurodivergent and things like that. I think sometimes people lock themselves into an identity they don't have to either way. When maybe it's a bit more like a scale, or maybe there's like a different way it could work that would be better for everyone. And I'm not trying to take away from people who like identify as neurodivergent, or they're like, no, I work a lot differently than other people. I'm not taking away from that at all. I just am going to tell you, like, I get weird with labels and boxes sometimes. Because it kind of seems like sometimes those definitions can limit, where people are like, oh, I must be this. And then they start acting like this. It's like the alpha male thing. Like, how many people have you met who are like, oh, I must be an alpha male. Now I'm an alpha male. And then they only do things that are, the judgment of what an alpha male thing is. And then they like create this shit crap for themselves and act like complete, like just not them because they're trying to be this thing. And you're like, rah. So I think sometimes like maybe if the labels are helping you discover yourself and uncover who you truly are instead of limiting you, great. If they're like helping you to find self-acceptance, like great. But if you're trying to like form your identity around it, which might not be what everyone's doing. So, because I'm feeling a little bit weird, maybe weird reactions from you energetically as I'm talking about this, the way I'm talking about it. And that's just my stance, by the way. I'm not going to even say that was all fully channeled or anything like that. But I'd rather just like be me, and whether I fit into neurodivergent or not, or something else, in the best me I can be for the highest good, and not force myself into a camp or definition. Does that make sense? And maybe that wasn't the right example to use for that conversation I just had. But maybe I'm going to sit with it and channel on it a bit more here. Here's the way my guides are explaining it. No. And sometimes they talk in a third party way, like they're saying it directly to you, but then I have to like relay it. But what they're saying is, no, he, as in me, he's not neurodivergent, but because of his intuition, he works differently than, most other, maybe all other people, I don't know. But so just maybe that's the better way to answer it. Because I know some people like are neurodivergent and like that fits them. Like they like, whether they kind of are on the autistic spectrum a little bit. And like, I'm not, and like, I also don't judge people who are like, I'm neurodivergent, because I think for them it fits. Does that make sense? And maybe that feels a bit lighter for everybody. But, so, because I'm not trying to like insult anyone who says they're neurodivergent at all. It's like I'm just trying to have a conversation about labels, I guess. And I don't think most people who are neurodivergent do like force themselves into a role either. I think they just find that fits how they operate more than like trying to cram themselves into most people's judgments and projections of what normal looks like. Does that make sense? So hopefully that all makes sense. Oh, that was interesting. Neurodifference. We're all neurodifferent. Words are so, yeah, and that might be the problem, is the words and the limitation of the words. So hopefully that makes sense. Like I'm, again, like not trying to like judge or say you bad to anybody here, regardless of what camp you're in or what you ascribe to. So don't beat yourself up about any of it. And if you're mad at me, that's fine. But finding out I was helped give myself grace and accommodations that don't like labels. There you go. See, that's perfect. I think that's beautiful. That feels light to me. So, but some people make that feel dismissive or needing accommodation. I hear you. Sorry, I froze for a second. Not the screen, me. I just like, it wasn't even a bad freeze. I just kind of, thanks, Toady. You said you love how precise I am to be with words. Yeah, I really do. But so thank you. Because that's just, what I feel called to do. And I also like, if words create, I'd also like to just create what would be highest and best for me to create with my words. And I also would just like to accurately articulate and communicate what I'm saying. I remember one time, this is going to be a whole other box, maybe being opened. I'm going to start air signs in just a second. But I remember one time, I think there is a good balance. Like maybe we don't take things too literally all the time and like freak out that way either. I just remember like, there was one person I knew who would freak out about people taking things too literally. Maybe freak out's a strong word, but they'd like be a little like just like bash it or something. Maybe that's a strong word too, but it was kind of just like at the same time, like if you're not saying what you mean, like what are you saying? You know, like it's like my question. It's like, what are you actually saying if you're not saying what you mean? Like, I don't know. So that's one of my philosophies, and don't feel called to pigeonhole yourself into that if that doesn't resonate for you. But that's just one thing that came to me about that. Anyways, let's get back. Thanks, Marina. Freak out. If that's the song you were talking about, Moon, you might have been talking about something else. You resonate with that feeling so much. Awesome, Toady. I appreciate that. Okay, we're going to start the air signs reading now. I've been fiddling with the air sign for for a second here. So I hope you are ready. If you have an air sign, sun, moon, or rising, this is meant to be for you. When you see it, I'm going to be flowing with the channel messages coming through from my spirit guides and angels and source for you. Just what you need to hear, what would be for your highest good, as well as working with my intuition to see what comes through for your highest good. So let's start. How many times can I say for the highest good? But let's see what comes through for you. So we're starting under the ocean here, and there's like this diver, like someone who's diving, but it's one of those like people who hold their breath for a long time when they dive, you know, and whether they have a snorkel and mask or what, and they go and like get things off the sea floor maybe. So let me see but he's kind of like turned around. He's kind of just chilling. Let me see what the message is here. So this is representing you, I would say, but there's like this whale shark around this diver in the ocean. And this diver begins to, you know, freak out. Speaking of freak out, the song about this like whale shark. But the message is like, you're kind of afraid of things you don't need to be afraid of. Because if you are, I mean, most of you are probably familiar with whale sharks. Like that's the one you don't need to worry about. That's the big baby shark that eats plankton. It's not a baby. It's like 70 feet long or more maybe. But, you know, diver kind of like freaks out about this whale shark, but it's like the whale shark's friendly. The whale shark is familiar with humans and he's just saying hello and just hanging out with the diver. So try not to freak out about everything right now is kind of the message for you guys. Like try to stay calm. There's a lot of things that might look scary for you right now that aren't, and things are just going to settle in place in a really beautiful way for you. So, you know, the other thing, they're kind of giving me the phrase and give me the visual of like dust settling, like dust on the ocean floor settling. Like, you know, if certain fish or activity happens and all this like dust kicks up, and if you've ever been in like a muddy water or tried to swim in muddy water and like you can't see much, like once the sand or dust or mud gets kicked up, like it's about to settle. It's about to be clear, like you'll see everything's okay. And then you can kind of go up to the surface really easily and get to shore and everything's safe. So if you are in any sort of extreme circumstances right now, I feel like you're going to be safe. That's what I'm getting right now. So do what you need to do. Keep taking care of yourself. Keep taking care of business as well. That's not like, oh, you don't have to do anything. I mean, maybe it's like, oh, you don't have to do anything. It's just going to be fine. But you know your circumstances, so do what you feel called to do as well. But there might be some like seemingly extreme things going on that are going to be fine, is what I'm getting as a message for you as well. So the next channel message coming through for you here, they're actually showing me a symbol. So let me sit with where this is going for a second here. So they're showing me a symbol that channeled through for a modality I was working on. It's not the source fires, which is we can talk more about that too, but it's not my aim to talk about this for this reading. But the symbol is named Zula, and it has to do with like space. So it has to do with space clearing, space healing, opening space for a being, like energetically or etherically, helping the energies of a space. It almost has a lot to do with just space, and I'm really feeling that as I talk about it, which is really awesome. Actually, it feels great. Probably because I said the symbol's name, but so I guess like the reason it's showing up as part of that symbol's energies are trying to help out for this reading right now. Just even maybe for the space we're in with this reading, or just for you in general and like your etheric space even. But also the other message coming through as a channel message regarding why that's showing up is I would look into like making and creating space for yourself in your life. Now, this could be literally for some of you where you're just like, I need to declutter my room, so I have room for a desk and a computer so I can work on a business or whatever. That's a very, obvious example. The other example could be like, oh, this friendship is taking up so much bandwidth and they always call me with problems, and like, that's okay. I love this friend. I'll be there for them. But maybe I just need to like not answer the phone after 6 p.m. if I need me time. Like maybe I need that space for myself. Or maybe it's like the other example they're having me bring in, which I say somewhat frequently, it seems, on some of these lives and these videos, is I was watching a course from Lee Harris. I think it was one of the rebirth courses he does. And he mentioned this, it really applied to me at the time, and it could apply to you as well, where if you are in very constricting circumstances and you're just like not sure what to do, like one of the questions to ask, or that could help be a guiding light, at least for a bit, is like, where is the space for you? Where's the breathing room for you? Like, what's the one choice or thing you can do to help create a bit more space and breathing room for you? And once you do that, you can start using that space to see where the next space is and opening up more space and more space and more space for yourself. So you have more freedom, you have more space. And so what that looked like for me was, it was not a fun time, but my car broke down and I ended up, it was just a really expensive to fix up. I ended up just selling it. And then I didn't have a car for some time. I was sharing a car with the person I was dating at the time, but also the relationship wasn't going very well. It was pretty much on the verge of ending. And we were kind of like at this point of like, oh, do we stay together or break up? And my job wasn't going very well. Like it absolutely just, for whatever reason, it's not like I didn't work hard or do my job well, to my mind at least, but the managers did not like me for whatever reason, didn't like how I approached things, didn't really seem to want me in the department, but also wouldn't let me leave the department. Like every time I'd try to like switch roles in the place I worked at, or she'd like block it. And I guess that's a power the managers in that company had. And so like she wouldn't let me leave. She made it heck for me to stay. And so like I was like kind of on the verge, like kind of made enough to buy a new car, but I was like really tight, or like would have been really tight. I was just like, oh my God. And so like, but the space for me was getting another vehicle. So I wasn't like, cause like the thing also with sharing the vehicle with that person was they like, I would work, we worked at the same place. I would work like late shifts at the place that it was a store, like the store closed, and they would work the early shifts at the place the store closed. So we'd have to get there at 6 a.m. and then we'd have to be there till like 11 p.m. and then we'd have an hour drive home. We'd only have like 4 hours to sleep, and then we'd drive back on days we both worked, and then we'd have to like sleep in the car to make up for it. So it was not fun. That's why I'm only describing this, like cancelly clear, get that energy out of here, to tell you this message about getting more space, where it's like the space for me was getting a new car. And it, once I made that choice, the universe got me the resources to get me to make that get that car. I was very thankful for the help I got to be able to get that with more ease. But from there, it's like, okay, now I have a bit more space to potentially break up, part ways with this. I think I'd already broken up with them like right before I got the car. But I have more space where like we don't have to drive to work together. It was amicable, by the way. It wasn't like terrible, but it wasn't like all bad. And then like I have a car. Okay, that allows me to potentially move out of this area and go somewhere else. That allows me to do so much more. So I'm not telling you all that to tell you my life story and be like, oh, Hannah, it's so hard. Oh my God. It's it's more to just be like, hey, I've done that. I've made more space for myself. And that's an example of how you might consider looking at where's the space for you in your next step. And maybe you have plenty of space. And maybe you just need space in your schedule for yourself or more free time. Like it could show up in a number of different ways, but hopefully that all helps. And I didn't just tell you my story there for nothing. Or maybe you'll tell it to someone else and they'll be like, okay, now I can go do something that will help me, even if it's tough. So the next thing they'd like to get to for you, we're still on that symbol though. So give me a second with it. So part of crafting space for you is potentially also setting certain healthy boundaries with other people who take a lot of your time and energy is what's coming through more specifically. So consider that. You don't have to go gung-ho and be like, I'm never talking to you again, ma'am. You can just take a step back. You can be like, again, like I'm not answering my phone after 6 p.m. I'm not texting back after 6 p.m. That's me time. I'm turning my phone off or, just putting it on do not disturb and I'll text back tomorrow or, safeguarding your time or something. Safeguarding your free time so you can do what you'd like to do with it. So that's just kind of an example coming in. There's also like a literal message for those of you who are willing to go there with me for a second about literally healing space etherically, where, what does that even mean? If this makes any sense to you at all, and usually when I say these things, they make sense to at least some of you, hopefully all of you, in a way where you're like, yeah, no, I just did this exercise for this and I saw this video and so that totally was perfectly landed. So thanks for the people who give me that feedback so I realize it, so I can hear the feedback because I trust it, but it's sometimes helpful to hear like, oh yeah, that landed. Cool. Even though that was way out there for me. Like you might literally be healing the space around you so you can have more space is kind of what I'm hearing, like either like energetically or etherically or something like that. Like maybe it's a room, maybe it's like etheric space. Some of you might not know what I'm talking about. That's okay. Take it how it resonates for now and let it show up how it will. So the other thing here is you are meant to have space. I feel like space is a needed remedy for many of you tuning in right now. And it's also going to heal you if you have the space you need, whether it's energetically or it's, I feel like I need to talk about something else too here to explain this, or it's like we talked about before, like making the choices that give you that next space for you. So the other thing with this is one of the modalities I hear about that talks about space energetically is access consciousness. Like one thing they talk about is like having space for you and like having that sense of space and lightness and like creating that for yourself. And they always say things like, what if that's you? What if that's you being you? What if that, like things like that. And that does tend to be better than like, if not always tends to be a better, lighter experience than like heaviness or, heavier experiences or I don't know. You kind of know what they're talking about. So maybe that's something they're trying to get to as well with this reading is like, how can you open up space that way for those that resonates with and those that feels right to head that direction with that message for you. But I also kind of feel like that's happening maybe even with this channeling right now. So that's cool. Next thing they're kind of showing up that is showing up here, there's showing me a pig spirit animal showing up here. For some reason, like some of the past times pig has been showing up, it has like a superhero cape on. It's like a different superhero cape than normal. This one's like yellow with like a dark blue S on it with a white outline around the S, which is kind of funny. And then there's a P, so it's like super pig or something. So I don't know, that's funny. But let me see what the message is here with the super pig here. So they're kind of showing someone, how sometimes things will show up in our life and they are like the step to us getting what we desire. We just have to see it, I guess you could say. So for example, like maybe someone's been praying for abundance And in this instance, they're kind of like, they seem a bit, I'm not saying this is you, but in this example, person is destitute, or they're just kind of like, it's like this old like village. It looks more medieval or something. Like there's like the hay roofs and things like that. And like this pig walks by and he sees it and he's like, oh, I've been praying for abundance and all I get is this lousy pig that walks up, this free pig. It's like, but like in this visual, like the angels are like, no, wait. That's like your key to abundance. Like get that pig. Because like, if he like checks the pig, it's like pregnant, and then he has like, piglets, I guess, and then he can kind of build a fence, then he can start like a pig farm, and all of a sudden like he has this avenue to abundance that shows up for him. So try not to discount the things showing up that seem like nonsensical or that seem like really weird to you right now, or the things that are just like, why is this showing up? And it's not, maybe it's not even good or bad. It's just kind of like if that pig walked by, you'd be like, oh, it's a pig. But I feel like there's like something, it could even seem plain and ordinary, that's showing up for you or will, that like is actually an avenue to like so much more, or it's actually so much more than it seems. Because if you think of Super Pig 2, or like if you were think of like Superman in disguise with his glasses and like Clark Kent, it's like most people don't notice that he's Superman when he's chilling out doing whatever he does at the Daily Planet. So it's kind of like he's like right there though, like hiding in plain sight, sort of. And I feel like you're getting these like blessings or these opportunities, but you kind of just either have to see it or not discount something because it's not the full package right away. It could be like the step towards it. So for example, maybe you would like a social media following and like you get this idea to post something on YouTube, but you're like, oh, I'm trying to grow on Instagram. And they're like, wait. What if you're supposed to grow on YouTube first? Or what if this is going to help you expand your Instagram by growing on YouTube with this idea for this YouTube series you just got, or something like that? And it doesn't have to literally be that, but take it as it resonates as an example for you. Where it's just like, you might be discounting some like great abundance because it looks plain or ordinary, or it's not the whole thing right away, but it's the step towards that whole thing. Hopefully that makes sense. It's the key, like a key to your abundance in a way. The next thing they're kind of showing up with this pig here, or let me see where else they're going. They're showing me, oh man. So there was a volcano for a second, but then there was like a jungle, and like the phrase, the whole jungle. One of the things that I want to say this, and I also am like hesitant to say it in a way that seems like it's tooting my own horn. So give me a second to get with them and see what the best way to get this out here is. So sometimes like if someone has a lot of spirit animal support with them, or, like if I'm talking to someone, I might get the message for them like, oh, and someone's like, oh, what spirit animals do I have? Like I might get the message for them like, oh, you have the whole jungle, or something like you have like a ton, like all of them or a ton or something like that. And don't limit it. Like, I think sometimes we get these ideas of like hierarchy and the spiritual and the etheric, and we're like, oh, the elephant spirit animal is greater than the pig spirit. And it's like, is it? Like, and that's not to denigrate elephant spirit animal, not to denigrate pig or any of the other beings of the true highest light, for the highest good that can show up and help us, or anything like that. It's more like, why are people projecting human hierarchical or understandings on the divine and trying to pigeonhole it into that understanding when it could be something else, is, I guess, another question. That's not the right question, because like, honestly, one of my pet peeves is when I notice people, and I never do this personally, but project human things on the divine, or like, oh, God is angry. I'm like, is he, or is anger something else? Like, or like, oh, the angelic hierarchy, like, is it a hierarchy, or is that just something people kind of projected on that, and it actually works differently than like people describe it does, based on the human minds attaching to things or projecting things. So I don't know. I think that could be a channeler thing where you kind of get more into receiving how it actually works, instead of like, oh, it must fit into this box or something like that. But that's just me, or maybe it's not just me. But anyways, what I'm trying to get to for you here is, because the whole jungle with all the spirit animals showing up here, let me see what the message is for you. I do get the message of a lot more support coming for you than you realize, like from the divine in your life right now and right away, but also in the future. And it's tempting to feel like we're all alone sometimes in our challenges or like things that we're doing, but you're not, is what I'm hearing. And there's a lot more divine support on the way. I would definitely ask for it. And there's a lot more divine support you're worthy of than you realize that you are. So they're saying mind out of the gutter, but it's not for anything sensual. It's more about like getting mind out of the gutter for yourself. Like, stop thinking, what's the best way to say this, negatively about yourself, or like, oh, I don't deserve this. Oh, I'm not worthy of this. Oh, I can't have this. Oh, I'm only worthy of so much. Oh, the universe doesn't like things like that, oh, the universe doesn't like me. Things that can't totally clear. But it's kind of time to see like what's actually true and like uncover that instead of like projecting or assuming like the universe doesn't like you or something like that. And putting any sort of energy into creating that, because it's just not true. The universe, there's a lot of divine support, I guess, whether you're projecting on it or not, a lot of divine support coming to help you out, help you through your current circumstances. Like you have the whole jungle coming to give you a hug and uplift you, so that's great. With the volcano kind of coming up here, the word I do get, bear with me, don't freak out. Word I do get with volcano is disaster, but let me sit with what, because it's erupting, there's rocks flying everywhere. But you're like sitting there meditating in the jungle and these rocks fall around you, but you're totally safe, totally calm, and you're like shielded because it's like this, every time a rock like comes towards you, it like hits this like force field and bounces off or something like that. So you're totally safe in your circumstances right now. Might not seem like it for some of you, but you are, I guess, is what I'm getting. It could even just be like financial circumstances, the way it's showing up for you. It doesn't have to be like physical treachery or like facing all the time or something. Hopefully that's not even close, the physical treachery to what you're experiencing, but it's weird because in this intuitive visual, and we'll get to describe what this means for you, the safe place regarding this volcano is by the volcano. It's like actually moving closer to the volcano, not run. And if you're near a physical volcano, I'm not telling you to literally go towards a physical volcano. Full disclaimer, that's not what this is saying. Let me get, because it's an example. It's a metaphor. Let me see what the just in case. Brandon said, go to the volcano. My family got destroyed by the ash. I'm never listening to him again. That was maybe a bit more gruesome of a joke than I should have made. Can't totally clear. How's it get any better than that? But, and I don't think it was as funny to you guys as I wanted it to be, but that's fine. Let me get the message for you guys here. I think some of the moves you need to make are counter to what you think you need to make. And I'm not saying this to confuse you, because I could see how that might be confusing to some of you when you hear that. I'd really sit with like some really trusted advisors to you in your life, whether that's a friend who is usually always right, or an intuitive, or someone who has your back. And I'd really sit with like, what is the best next step for me? Like, where should I go regarding everything going on right now, or what's happening? And I'd really sit with it, because you might have a knee-jerk reaction to like something happens, like a tiger shows up and you're like, oh, run away. And like you run away, but then the tiger chases you, or, but you might, if you like sat with it for a second, you'd be like, oh wait, this is a trained tiger. Actually, there's a collar on it. Maybe if I just sit here, it'll just kind of leave me alone. So I know it's like a really extreme example, but, it's kind of like there might be some moves that are counter logical, or I personally dislike the word counterintuitive, but because it's like your intuition is going to tell you the way it works if you're using it right. It's just going to give you that accurate information if you got it honed in. So there's not really a counterintuitive, right? So I don't know, but I know people mean that usually what they mean is like counter what you would think. It seems is the way people use that in society, usually in the mainstream. But try to just not make hasty decisions if you don't have to, and try to just really sit with what would be best and feels lightest to you, because there are moves that would be best that you don't think are best. That sounds vague, so I hope that's helpful. And if you get too confused on it, which I don't think you are, most of you at least, just kind of let that go, and then circle back around at the right time, and you'll make the right choice is what I'm getting. But again, like sit with some trusted counsel as well, because you might be guided in ways you weren't expecting that really help you out here. Because like, I don't know, maybe you like feel like you really need to break up with someone, but you just need to have a conversation. And it's like, maybe your habit is just to break up with someone the second something happens, but it's like maybe being able to work, depending on the circumstances, of course, but maybe being able to work through certain things is actually going to be better for you in the long term in the relationship and how things go than like just cutting ties every single thing every time anyone does anything that pisses you off ever, because if that's something that's happening, maybe there's something with you that you need to kind of realize. You're like, oh, maybe I took offense to that, and that was my thing, and they didn't mean anything by it, and I kind of just reacted rashly. That's just an example, of course, but what I don't mean is like if you have a boundary, like if someone like like if you have a threshold or a boundary where it's like, no, if someone does this, I'm breaking up with them. Like, that's fine. You can honor that. But if it's like something like, oh, they got angsty with me and they said this thing and it wasn't that bad, but I'm mad that they did that and now I break up. It's like, is there a better way to approach the situation before you make a rash choice? So I realized I took a long time describing that. So hopefully that helps and doesn't confuse you. Next thing showing up is a monkey again, but actually what's showing up is Hanuman. It's a Hindu deity. I don't remember exactly what he does, if I'm being honest, but he's showing up for this reading. Let me see what the message is with him showing up. Fully for that's good. So there are potentially a lot of bad choices that you could make that you're being kept from making, like whether the way is blocked or you keep trying to do something and it doesn't work out. And that's like what I'm getting is like it's showing up. It could be source doing it, the universe, but Hanuman and this intuitive visual is the one showing up, or channel message is the one showing up, like keeping you from making those like rash choices or bad choices right now. So if things are just not working out, try to consider like, okay, what's actually the best direction for me to go in? And it kind of reminds me of people, like stories I've heard from people who like, they keep trying to force like finding this job, finding this in this industry, finding this job in this thing, finding this job doing this thing, and it like keeps getting blocked, keeps getting roadblocked. And then like the second they turn around and try something else, it just like works because that's the right move. You know, that's the way they're meant to go. So it's kind of like that too, where you might be getting roadblocked from like the wrong things. So I would just honor that and do your best not to get mad and just try something different if that is always what happens. Next thing showing up is a lizard for this message here. And the message is to try to avoid being cold-blooded. So let me say what the message. Not all of you are, I'm sure, but let me say what this message for a second here. Some of you might be, maybe not all of you, but some of you are tempted to maybe go cold because of some of the ways the world has been to you. Instead of that, try to honor yourself and sit with like, what would you actually like to be? Like, what would you actually like to choose? Instead of just letting that be your habits or what you move towards, because you becoming who you'd actually like to be, which is probably not going to be more cold-blooded or cold towards other people in the world to the degree it makes sense to not be, it's going to honor you more and it's going to potentially bring you to better circumstances. Because sometimes we're walling off certain people that are good for us when we're overly cold or closed off. You know, if you just went through something like traumatic, that's fine. Not all of you have, of course, but you know, take your time to go within and hermit if you have to, and heal and get to a better place, of course. But for the rest of you, who would you actually like to be? How would you actually like to be? That's going to call in so much better than trying to be like everybody else. Does that make sense? Or being convinced to be a way that the world has seemed to treat you negatively in the past. Because what if you're the one who's here to change that by being something else? Or what if the world will either mirror you or bring you better if you choose that? Does that make sense? And you can still have healthy boundaries with the people and places and things that aren't going to treat you well. Absolutely, yes, please. But keep that in mind right now. It might be better to be like, who would I like to be, instead of just reacting with that right now. So an orange is showing up next is about the sacral chakra. And it's about like, this might not be for all of you, but healing, I guess sexual trauma is the way it's showing up. I'm not sure if I can say that on a TikTok live. Healing, it just sounds silly if I say it like a different way. If I try to use like the workarounds that the kids on TikTok come up with. But let me sit with it for a second and see what this is about here. So maybe not all of you have like blatant trauma in that area. Maybe for some of you, it's like a smaller like thing or wound or something, or, you know, maybe someone laughed at you one time and you're like, I'm never doing this again. So, you know, whatever it was, you might consider this a good time to dig into that and like going deeper into that and healing that and helping yourself with that so you can, stop blocking certain blessings in that area, which some of you are doing, is what I'm getting. And like really just take a second, like, okay, do I need healing in this area? Can I put on some sacral chakra thing or a meditation or something else that would help heal this? Because it's going to open up a whole new world for you in that arena, I guess, if you're working on that. And there's a lot of good stuff and things you can find regarding the sacral chakra. Like there's a lot of yumminess and like abundance in life if, I guess you're in a good place with that chakra that can show up, because that has to do with like sensuality, emotions. Sometimes it has to do with interconnectivity with other people. Sometimes it has to do with some people ascribe creativity to the sacral chakra. Other people ascribe it to the throat chakra. Whatever framework works for you or resonates more for you is what it is. But that might just be a good chakra to look into if that resonates for you. Just maybe over the next month or so, or just look into that area specifically that we talked about, and that could be really open some things up for you, which would be good here. I do feel like your third eye is opening, which is really cool. So a lot more intuition coming in for you. I would also, along with that cold-blooded message that came through earlier, I would stay away from people that are cold-blooded to you or in general, because they might not be a good influence on you. So an example would be if you just notice someone has some narcissistic tendencies and you're just like, maybe I should just take a step back or limit my time with this person. Or if you open up like a podcast that you listen to and all of a sudden the host is like, all these people must die, or something like brutal or weird like that, you're just like, whoa. Like that might be a good idea to like not listen to that as much or imbibe that as much, and try to move towards what feels light to you and warm, the right amount of warmth to you, and trust your intuition and all that too, because maybe that podcaster is just going through a phase in the example here and you'll be fine the next episode or something, but trust yourself on all that. I guess they're done with the message. Rhinoceros is showing up as a spirit animal for you as well. And what's up with this last message here? This showed up one time before in a one-on-one reading, but it's showing up slightly differently for you. The rhinoceros has like these like ropes attached to it and these chains. It's like being used to like pull a sled. It's like being used as a beast of burden, but it's not actually meant to be a beast of burden. So anywhere you are treating yourself like a beast of burden or find yourself in that role, try to extricate yourself from that. And again, like the words honor you are coming up a lot today for you, but honor yourself and like see if there's another role you can take. See if you can do something else and stop doing everything for everyone or being treated like that, because there's just a better role for you that you need, that, and the possibility for that will open up at the right time for you. So I hope that helps resonate. Do whatever is for you good. Sorry, I keep getting more messages as I go to close it out. Sapphire gemstone is showing up for you as well about your throat chakra for expression. And if you've been having a tough time speaking your truth or something, like you're gonna have an easier time with that is what's coming in. Like I feel like the energies are just coming in to help you with that. So we'll move to the water signs in a second, and then we'll do full channel mode. Then we're probably gonna close the live after that. But hope that was great for you. You're welcome, Moon. Oh man, so I'm gonna stretch. I'm gonna drink water. We're gonna move to the water signs. How long have we been going? It's been about 3 hours, so you're welcome, Kanisha. Hey, extra small popsicle. Good to see you too. I remember you. It's good. Lots of helpful messages in there. Perfect. You're welcome. What take your Gannon? You're welcome, Stacy. Called out in the most needed way. Perfect. The lame chick. That's part of what I'm doing. Well, I was going to say that's part of why I'm here for. I don't ever want to limit it to just like that. And then, but I'm glad it was helpful. Hit close to home. Thanks. I think you're welcome. It's meant to help you. It's not meant to, I'm not here judging you because of it. It's coming through. It's meant to bring through the messages that will help you. So hopefully it just helps you move to better with all that. Did the live get shut down last time? Yeah, it kind of timed out, and I'll explain it again real quickly, then we'll move to the next reading. Pretty much what happened was I was channeling, and there's like a thing that pops up on the screen that's like, oh, we've detected you might not be here. Well, you hit the button to let us know you're here so you can keep going. And if you don't hit the button in time, it just like closes the live. And like that thought kept hitting. I'm like, oh, like, but I was kind of still in the flow with the channel. And so it was kind of like a weird part where it just kind of timed out before, I looked at it and hit the button because my eyes were closed. That's all that happened there. And maybe I'll just open my eyes more when channeling, but I just don't want to freak people out by doing that. And I also don't, I would like to be free from distracting myself while I'm in full channel mode. Or just, but maybe because you can do full channel mode with your eyes open. I have done that. People do that. It works. It's just, might be a really interesting thing to look at on your end. It's not like they go crazy or anything. It's just, you might notice a certain interesting like light in them, is usually I think how it's looked to me when I've seen my eyes like in the mirror or something if I'm doing a full channel mode thing. Um, or I've seen it in other people who like channel, like maybe it wasn't full channel mode, but they'll channel with their eyes open and there's like a lights that's like there, that's like a certain look in their eyes. It's a little bit, depending on the person, different. And then when they stop channeling. It's not like the light leaves their eyes when they channel, but that extra energy or light kind of leaves their eye when they stop channeling. It's really fascinating to watch. But um, oh, there you go. Yeah, you're welcome, Michelle. Yeah, thank you, Michelle. That's a great perspective on it too. When because like one of the things that happens with the channel messages is it is also meant to be like what you need to hear, or like what would help you the most. And sometimes that's not like the fun message, but sometimes that's the one that's going to create the greatest change for the highest good for you and make things greater for you and um, bring you to better. So I guess that or better, something like that. So we're going to start the water signs reading now because that's what they're telling me to do. That's what I'm being guided to do. So if you have a water sign, Sun, Moon, or Rising, this is meant to be for you when you see it. Yeah. And I'm going to channel what my spirit guides, angels, and source would like to bring through what my intuition is helping to bring through, or would like to say for the highest good as well. And it's, again, like we just said, what you need to hear, what would help you out the most, what would be for your highest good to come through. So let's start here. First message, I feel like this comes through for you sometimes, water signs, but if you feel like you're drowning, you're not going to, whether it's financially or otherwise, like there are things coming in to help turn things around for you. It could be like drowning in emotions, by the way, too. And help you, like mindset shifts that help you get out of certain things. I'd also be looking at all resources available to help you turn things around regarding areas you feel like you're drowning in. So if it's financial, like, is there a course on money you can take? Is there a YouTube video you can, like, even just like a Reiki YouTube video for money or something? Like, can you do something to help turn that around, for your highest good? And it's kind of like all hands on deck are the words I'm hearing. It's like, what are all the resources you can bring in or turn to or work with to undrown? Not that you are drowning, but just keep that in mind. Maybe it's even like other people's energies and being really sensitive and picking up on all that. And you're just like, what do I do? And now it's time to like double down on like, what do you need? What are the daily practices that will help you? What are the books you can read, the courses you could take, the classes you could take, the modalities you can utilize, the videos you can put on, et cetera, to help you. Because it's time to not drown. And you won't drown, because that was the message too. But also work with the universe a bit on that and help yourself, help the universe help you, I guess. Maybe not that you need to, but I think it'll expedite the process a little bit. So mountains have been showing up a lot today with the different readings. Mountain is showing up again in a different way for the water signs here, because it's almost like you living under a mountain. Or let me see what the message is here regarding this here. Weird message, but if you think of like things being hidden under the mountain, like even if you think of like Lord of the Rings and Dwarvish treasure, or you think of it keeps popping in like NORAD, the American base, and I'm not trying to bring that into this at all, but it just kept showing up as an example. But there was like this cave, and like you were under the mountain for a second. But the other thing that's coming through is like there's a lot I'm going to say what the exact phrasing you like me to use, but a lot that's transpiring behind the scenes to protect you from negative forces, to keep like certain forces at bay that might like undermine you, even if it's like people, like the universe might be tripping people up if they're trying to like trip you up or something like that. If like someone's trying to like, the phrase that comes to me that I've heard from someone else is someone's trying to come and like break your wings and keep you from flying. Like they're getting stopped. Like there's no stopping you. So the universe is like coming in to help with all that, which is great. And you have a lot of divine protection like under the surface around you that's like unseen. And even by people who know you're divinely protected, they might not realize like how far that goes or like what extent that is. So they really shouldn't mess with you, what I'm getting, water signs. So that's cool. But there are some certain things that are like even hidden that like you don't even just like have to worry about because of this divine protection. So cool. Kudos to you if you did work on this in any shape or way or form. or if you just became the person, the universe is like, yeah, we're divinely protecting this person or whatever. So that's cool. But what else is going on here? It is kind of like you have this fortress around you, and this is a good thing, the way this is showing up. It's nigh impenetrable. Does that make sense? Or the words I'm hearing, it sounds a little bit old timey, but whatever. And why does this keep showing up today? It's like you're kind of huddling in this fortress. You're like afraid, but it's like you have this fortress, like this angelic fortress, and like everything that comes into your world is like heavily scrutinized. This is an example and an analogy. You don't have to take this literally, by the way, with how things work. But everything that comes into your world is heavily scrutinized, like 3 times over by the angels, like at the front gates. Like they're looking through every shipment and every manifestation that comes in and checking for quality, and they're checking the food for disease. They're checking the people that visit your town here or fortress here for like their intentions. It's like really interesting. Like they have like the screening wand, like metal detector, like we're waving for people that enter into your world, I guess, which is funny. So you think you are just exposed and vulnerable, and you just are so not. So that's so cute of you to think you're so exposed and vulnerable like that. and you might be vulnerable in like the you're being vulnerable with people way. That's not what I'm talking about here. But it's, as far as like etherically and energetically, or etherically and with what shows up in your world. So that's really cool, actually. And not everyone has that to that degree necessarily. So kudos to you, I guess, for who you are that allows that. Next, there was like a saxophone I like relaxed because there was like a saxophone that like flashed in my intuitive visuals there for a second. I'm like, what are you doing here? Saxophone. But let me say with what's going on with anything else I want to say about what we just said or the saxophone. There's also a seashell showing up like it does, but let's see here. So they started playing the song Careless Whisper. That I'm not going to try and sing that. I could if you guys it would be fun for everybody here. But the one where it's like, I'm never gonna dance again. Guilty features get no rhythm, and that's my silly way of singing it. But and then so let me see what the message is with all this here. So it is time to stop feeling guilty about past things that were like years ago. It's kind of time to stop tripping yourself up thinking you don't deserve things, maybe even because of the past. You're like, oh, I broke up with this person and now they don't like me. Do I really deserve good things? It's like, yeah, you do. I mean that in the best ways. Like, it's like, no question you do. It's like, a lot of people break up with people all the time, and, maybe it was better for that person that you broke up with them if you didn't want to be with them, and it set them free and it set you free. And like, why would you get negative karma for just breaking up with someone? Like, that's silly. And like, sometimes I had to be careful with this one. It's getting into a different discussion, and I want to check if it's even where it would be for that's good for me to go. I'll say it really quickly because I started saying it, but I remember one time, no, that's not the best way to say it. I think, and maybe I'm wrong about this, I think some people have an idea that just like, anytime you cause someone some type of pain, you get negative karma. And there's some caveat with this. There's some nuance we need to dig into here. I think it depends, because if you break up with someone and you're divinely guided to break up with them, you're like, nope, that's the move. And like, maybe they did something, maybe they didn't. It's just like, for whatever reason. And like, they're really hurt about it. It's like, you can't always prevent that hurt. And it's not like you're going out of your way to be mean to them, but it's like some of that is also like their stories and their stuff and their things they bought from other people and their judgments that's making them upset. And yeah, like loss can just hurt like as well, just in and of itself. I'm not trying to like take away from that, but it's like, if you have to make a move and people end up being hurt by it, I'm not saying go out of your way to hurt people. I'm not saying you were like, go be mean to your person and break up with them because I said this. Like, that's not what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand. Like, to me, it makes no sense that someone should be punished for that if that's like just the move they had to make, or if you like become really successful and someone else is upset that you became successful, it's like, are you going to get negative karma because people are upset that you're successful when that's their story and their judgment and their projection and how they beat up on themselves because they're not successful, and maybe they still have every opportunity to still become successful. Maybe it's like you're not, why would you be punished for that? Like, doesn't make any sense to me. Like, you wouldn't be. they're kind of mentioning that as well for certain of you who might feel guilty about the past, where it's like you kind of did what you needed to do, and not everyone's feelings is your responsibility, or your like if you're walking on eggshells for everyone's feelings all the time, like that's dangerous territory, because not maybe none of it has anything to do with you in the first place, the way they're feeling, by the way. But yes, we can do our best to be kind and be the best people we can be with healthy boundaries, with looking after ourselves. And I would always recommend and encourage you bring good to this world and light to this world, and what would be that's good for this world, and do the best of your ability. And like, you just can't always coddle everyone's feelings all the time at the same time. So don't feel guilty about that. Even if people are trying to make you feel guilty, because that's manipulative as heck. If people are like, I feel sad because you said this. Well, it depends. If you said something really upsetting, I would be like in tune and maybe see like, okay, yeah, that was a bit mean. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. Like, I apologize. Yes. But if you're like, you became really successful, that hurts my feelings. It's like, dude, that's manipulative as F. Like, that's so, and like, if you look at it in some of like because that's a very obvious, like big example, but even on some of the smaller scale, like people use feelings to manipulate you. When you're an empathetic, kind person, it's really, I'm not going to judge it as disgusting. I was going to say disgusting, but just be aware of that maybe and see how that might be showing up. And like, why are you doing this with the feelings thing? Like, yeah, I understand you're upset, but depending on the circumstances, because we have to have nuance and not go black and white with this, please. It might have not had anything to do with you that they're upset or they have feelings. So I hope you're taking this the right way as I'm saying this, and not taking this like, yeah, go be an asshole to people because Brandon said I don't have to care about their feelings because that's their stuff. It's there's some nuance, there's some balance here. And maybe I'm over coddling this conversation the way I'm trying to talk about it. But anyways, what I'm trying to get to here with all this is like, there's things you feel guilty about, and maybe you're keeping yourself from like having certain things, or success or abundance or good relationships, because you're like, oh, this one time when I was 5, I hit my dad or something, or like this one time when I was like 13, I said something mean to my sister. It's like, yeah, maybe it's time to forgive yourself and forgive them and forgive everything about the situation and everything in life that taught you or had you react that way. Like, and maybe it's time to sit with that and release that, because there's no reason to like hold yourself back with guilt right now. If there's something you need to dig into and look at, like, okay, what has me feeling guilty? Like, is there a story I need to change? Is there something I need to heal? Is there a judgment or story I bought from someone else that something's wrong that maybe is not wrong, that is causing me to feel guilty and here? So just keep that in mind right now. I would not let guilt hold you back, because you have a purpose, you have a destiny, you have things you're meant to move towards. The universe is like, they're showing angels with a stopwatch, like, come on, it's time, come on. We got to move forward, we got to make this happen. So don't hold yourself back is what I'd say regarding things like that. Sorry, that went into a whole tangent, didn't it? But next thing they like to get to here, they're showing me hockey, like a hockey league. And it's funny because we'll get into what this means for you. There's like a goalie, and the goalie, of course, I'm trying to like explain things for people who don't know hockey, but I don't know if I even need to. But you know, there's the goalie who guards the goal, and there's people who like slap the puck at the goal to try and get it past the goalie. And there's like someone who's like playing the role of goalie, and like people are hitting the puck at them, and they're like, why are these people hitting these pucks at me? Like, why are you doing this to me, or something like that? So let me sit with what that means here. But it's like, that's that person's job. Like, they're supposed to stop the puck. So one second. Where is this meeting here? Okay, here's one of the messages. Make sure you know what you're signing up for before you sign up for certain things, is what I'm getting. This kind of is about physical circumstances, like maybe job situations or like relationships with people. Like, you know, for example, it's okay to go on dates with people and get to know them before you jump into bed with them, or jump into a relationship with them, or move in with them. Like, it's okay to like take your time and like, what is this person really like in life? Or like job situations, like, you know, maybe you can try to scope it out a bit and do more due diligence. There was an example I was going to get to, but they're saying no, like that's not the example for this, so never mind. But maybe there's ways to do trial periods, or maybe there's ways where before you delve into like a committed situation with something, if you pay attention, you see what it's going to be like if you, it's going to be like if you do it. Like, certain things might catch your eye and you notice an energy, or you notice like an issue when you like hang out with this potential love partner a lot. You're like, huh, interesting. And it's because it's like maybe the universe is showing you some of what it'll be like if you go that direction, you know? Like sometimes you can get that information. So keep that in mind. Oh, by the way, I think Lainey's comment, like people pleasing, probably describes exactly what I was trying to talk to earlier. Yeah, I think that's a great move. That's some great work, Lainey. But moving through that and getting to a better place with all that. But anyways, next thing they like to get to with the hockey here is there might be some physical roles coming up, and it'd be good to kind of check out, almost like snoop is the word I'm hearing. I don't know if snooping has a good connotation, but like snoop out, like what is this really right for you? So keep that in mind. Relationships, physical circumstances. I was going to also mention how I remember like with manifesting too. I remember like there was like a video that popped up on like TikTok, and like this woman was like saying these things. It was like a reading maybe or something. And I was like, yeah, I'd like to have that. And the next video was a synchronicity or sign for me, is like about someone signing up for something they didn't realize they were signing up for. Cause it was like kind of a knee jerk, like, yeah, I'm going to be successful and people are going to hate me for it. It was like something like that. Like people are going to hate you because you're successful. You're like, yeah, but it's like, wait, why are we signing on intentionally for people to hate us? Like, it's like, yeah, if that happens with it and that's part of it, cool. Like, okay, I'll receive that. But if it doesn't have to be, then why are we creating it? So it kind of like something like that as well. Like sometimes we're manifesting, or people like bring things into our awareness, and it's like, would you like this? Would you like this? And it's kind of like, maybe it is possible to be super successful without all the hate. And if not, okay, I will receive that, universe. Thanks. I would like the success either way. I remember like what's the best way to say that? Because sometimes like you get to you get to manifest things, right? So if you're just like someone shows you something and they're like, oh, you can have this, but here's a caveat. Maybe consider like, oh, is it possible for me to have the cool thing without the caveat? If not, okay, I'd like that. But we don't have to go gung-ho into like creating people hating us. For example. So it's kind of like reading what you're signing on to before you sign on to it. Or sometimes when you're manifesting something, all the time when you're manifesting something, you can feel how it's going to feel when it manifests. Like you can feel that energy of it. And this isn't what they wanted me to get to, but you can kind of check things that way. Like, oh, I'm going to ask for this. And then I'm like, wait, how does this feel? Oh, it feels good, light and great and joyful, and I feel amazing. Okay, yes, let's go this direction. I'm asking for this. So just keep that in mind too. Next thing they're showing me, they're bringing through selenites as a crystal. There is a lot of clearing happening right now. Again, this is like under the surface, so it's like even like subconscious. You might not realize it's happening. Like it could happen in the dream space. It could happen just like you're just kind of shedding things. You're like, why am I feeling so emotional? I'm not sure right now. And it just kind of moves through you and out, or it just kind of sheds, and you're just making space for greater, honestly, with that. And the universe here's a weird message. The universe is working through your subconscious right now to clean it, but also to help you be a greater conduit of what the universe would like to see through you for the highest good. That's going to be a boon to you. Like that's part of your role, is what I'm getting for those of you tuning into this. So for example, if you are a channeler, it's like the universe is cleaning things out so you're a better channeler. If you are a therapist, like the universe might be moving some things out of the way so you're a better conduit of source during your therapy sessions and you're doing better therapy work, for example, is the way it's kind of being showing up to be explained. So take it or leave it, I guess. Take it as it resonates, or maybe you haven't wished I'd said different words and whatever. If you understand the gist of the message, there you go. Let me say with it again here. Just know that some type of clearing like that is happening. It's energetic as well. I also feel like your energy bodies are being cleansed, or that's showing up. That's in the intuitive visuals. That's all showing up as a channel message. So that's fascinating as well. That could be part of a way that's showing up, or just in addition to that as well. So that's cool here. I guess we're all kind of being cleansed. And again, this year is a big year of forward movement. So we might be in the throes of being cleansed before that forward movement really hits, for a lot of us. So keep that in mind as well. I guess they're kind of done with the reading. They were showing like these rock creatures before I parted before we part ways with this reading. So let me see what the message is with the rock creatures here. The words I get are unfathomable difference, which is fascinating to me. So what is the message for you guys here? I'm getting you guys are going to be doing things, are going to be making an unfathomable difference in your life soon. So if you're doing something that's going to create change, or you're doing work on yourself, keep doing it is what I'd say. It's going to be like really great and better. I don't know. I guess if you saw weird rock things walking around, you'd be like, that's unfathomable. And maybe it's kind of not. This gets into a side thing that I'll say after the reading for fun, because I like to talk about that, I guess, now in my life. But, you know, if like rocks started getting up and walking around, you'd be like, what the heck? And but something's coming in to like change your reality for the greater and unfathomable ways. And that's great. I'd invite that in. I'd walk towards that. I guess that's it. So there's some type of like, not unfathomable and like, oh, that's going to be so terrible, but like unfathomable is like, you just can't fathom even like how great it would be, even, you know, it doesn't have to be negative at all. So unfathomable change is kind of coming in, or difference is coming in. I would say this is positive. I'm getting it's positive. So there you go. And you know, Rhino showed up at the end of the other reading, didn't it? Or was that? Yeah, it was the air signs reading. So what's up or was that part of this reading? Shoot. What's Rhino saying with this one here? It's about charging ahead, which would be a more typical message with Rhino Spirit Animal, I'd say. So it's kind of time to do that. So what are the things you need to do? Do it. What are the targets you have in mind for your world right now? Go towards them. What are your dreams and ambitions? Like, do it. What's your next step? Do it. I'd just be like, not avoiding taking action right now to the best of your ability. If you need a day to rest, or if you're like, I'm not saying like use all your days off to like not rest ever. And if you need to use a day off from like, you know, an office job or something to work on a business, like cool. But I'm not saying never rest. I'm just saying like pedal to the metal when it makes sense, when it's for that's good, you know. So keep that in mind. So they're done with the reading. I hope that helped, resonated, whatever is for your highest good. If you guys have been doing good work, I do feel like that's going to be really rewarded soon, is an additional message coming through, like in big ways. This came through earlier, so I guess was it this reading with the pirate ship, or one of the other ones? I don't remember, but something about, it was kind of a similar message as what came through for that pirate ship earlier in the live, where like maybe you've been doing work and you haven't been getting as much as you thought you would get from it, but you will if you keep going, or like the rewards will come in, so keep doing it. So you know, even if it takes a while, and it doesn't have to take a while, I'm not going to put that on that for you, but wouldn't you like to get where you'd like to go in 5 years, even if you'd rather get there in 2 years? Like, wouldn't you rather be like, okay, maybe I'd rather it came in like tomorrow, but maybe I can wait a little bit longer. Not like wait around, but, you know, have patience for it while you work towards it or whatever. Like, wouldn't you rather just be like, you know, I'll get there eventually, then I won't get there at all? Or or just like, I don't know. That's just kind of something, the way they're phrasing it. And again, not to limit it. What if it can come in sooner than you ever fathomed would be possible, to use that word? And what would it take for that to show up if that's for the highest good? And how's it getting better than that? But that's kind of fun. But what I was going to say towards the end, I'm not working right now, so that resonates. There you go. Thank you. Needed to hear it. Perfect, Chris. So glad to hear it. The other thing they were trying to say with it, or what I was going to say that wasn't necessarily channeled, maybe it was semi-channeled, or it's just something I like to mention. But I think so much has happened in like fiction stories, with like whether it's books or it's video games or it's movies. Because like so many movies, the plot is like, oh, don't see yourself time traveling because then something bad will happen. But we've been so inundated with like weird science fiction things that people would probably be like, yes, finally, it's happening, you know, like. Or like if magic started happening, we'd be like, yes, finally, magic. And I mean, okay, so magic is real, like especially as far as like synchronicity, channeling, intuition, all that. Of course, we live in a world of magic, a universe of magic and beyond, and what is possible with magic and what magic can be that's beyond what we've ever encountered before, that can come in regardless of what I say here. But at the same time, if someone like pulled out a wand and started like levitating stuff, you'd be like, yes. Like, I don't think people would go as like crazy as the stories would say, you know, like, so I don't know. That's like when I talked about like the rock people, like they looked like Pokemon or something, like walking around. Or I was just like, yeah, people would probably be like, yeah, okay. I just thought I would put that out there because it just comes to mind to talk about sometimes. So next we're going to do a full channel mode message, which is exciting. I mean, I do that every live just about. So now that we timed out in the last live, I'm a little bit more like, because when I do full channel mode, my eyes are closed the whole time usually. I might like peek a little bit, and I'm gonna let you know ahead of time that I'm still channeling. I'm multitasking, and sometimes they do it too. Yeah, but I remember one time I facilitated like a channeled event in person, and I like started the thing, and then like out of nowhere I was just like, some people were trying to attend on Zoom too and in person. Out of nowhere I was just like, okay, we've got to do this, and it was still like that channeling was still there. I was just also like doing things. So that's possible for anyone who needs to know that's possible. And I think like my people here who are like spiritual or who channel themselves are like, yeah, we get it. But so I think I'm over explaining it. I think I'm over like worried about that for some reason. But will you do a live where you hang out one day? Yeah, sure. Let's figure that out. Can I end this live and come back? I can. I'm kind of getting that's not the best way to do it. I could try like pausing the live and unpausing and see if that kind of refreshes things in a way where, so I'm going to try that really quickly. Okay, so maybe like refreshed it or something. The other thing I'll say about that is, like it did happen after like 4 hours. So we're at the 3.5 hour mark. So I think we're okay is what I think we'll be okay with the timeout. Cause usually the channels go for like 15, 20, 30 probably minutes maximum usually for the live. So it could go longer. I'm not going to limit it, but we're going to start now. No, you're so right, Heather. I wasn't trying to be like bad, Heather. Why'd you? Thank you so much for saying that. Yeah, I don't think that's the best move with ending live and coming back. So thank you for saying it. But we're gonna start the full channel mode message here. They actually want me to take 1 second just to see, just to drink water, maybe look at chat, and then we'll start. So if you're newer here, the full channel mode, you might have seen it on TikTok or elsewhere, like on YouTube with me. If you're not newer here, you probably would. But full channel mode, we'll talk a bit about it. I'm channeling my spirit guides, the angels and source directly. They're just speaking through me pretty much. And no, they are. And my eyes are closed typically. The message... So what it all entails is there's the message and like what they say and what they bring through for this crowd today. And there's also an energetic transmission from source that goes along with it for the highest good. It does something akin to energy healing. It can bring upgrades. It can create shifts and changes for you and your world for the highest good. You don't have to limit it to that either. The other thing it can do with the frequency of channeling is open your intuition and third eye. And if you're meant to channel, you're channeling as well. And it can potentially do more. I don't like to limit it. That's a great starting place to be like, why are we here? Great starting place for the understanding. There's maybe things to watch out for as well. So you can like close your eyes and treat it like a meditation. You can keep your eyes open and watch me and be like, haha, funny man, say funny thing. But which is not usually how it goes. Usually goes better than that, but whatever works for you, and just see what shows up. And you know what? Sometimes they have exercises and like things they bring through to like go through. If you go off into your own like meditation or journey with your intuition, like that's fine too. Just or if you fall asleep, even you'll still get the frequency of the channel. You'll still get things helping you for your highest good. Like the energy is a big part of what matters with that. I was going to say maybe all, but I don't want to denigrate the message portion of it either. So may this all just be the highest must that would be for the highest good for it to be. How can it get any better than that? Thank you, Abundance Love Joy. Yeah, how does it get any better than that? So we're going to start the channel now, and I'll usually cough for a second, and then they'll do a little laugh, and then they'll, like a spirit guide laugh, and then they'll start talking. So here we go. Welcome, abundant collective. And you might not think you are abundant, and in part, that's part of what this channel message is trying to remedy. We are here to speak about abundance with you today. Even if you had no forewarning that that is what we would be speaking about, for that is a needed frequency that needs a bit bolstering with this crowd today. And we would like you to pay attention to your abundance, because that can entail every area of your existence, including the energies you encounter every day, the people you surround yourself with, the job you work, in addition to the money that you make. It all counts in a sense when it comes to abundance, all the things that matter to you and all the things that will matter. So, one thing we'll talk about is don't limit your abundance based on the definition of abundance to you. What does that mean? What we are trying to say is don't write money out of your definition of abundance. Don't write joy out of your definition of abundance. Don't write certain relationships out of your definition of abundance, for it can be tempting to ascribe to the judgments of others regarding what is right or wrong or good or bad or spiritual or not spiritual regarding what abundance is. And you might be tempted to be, love relationship, not abundance. Only channeling source is abundance. But then you limit, when you manifest abundance, what might show up as your abundance. So, what is your definition of abundance? And how can you expand that to include everything you desire? You may even be called to write some of this down. Some of this idea. You may even feel called to, regarding your definition of abundance, write down certain things that were excluded as part of your definition of abundance when you would think about it, and purposely include those things so that when you call in abundance and allow yourself to be abundant, you also have those things. So do not lie to yourself regarding what you desire about anything. Because then if you don't lie about it, it can show up. Would you like money? We will not judge you if you ask for money. The universe will not judge you if you ask for money. Source will not judge you if you ask for money. What if you made peace with your desire for money? Or your desire for love? Or your desire for carnal pleasures? Trying to keep it PG for the platform. For when you do not limit your abundance, what then can show up? What other frequencies could show up for you if you were living in total abundance? How much more joy could you have? How much more peace? If your finances were taken care of and you just had peace with it, what would that be like? That could change your world. That could then change your relationship with people. If you're not stressed about money, you're more easygoing with people, you're more generous with your money with people, and you're a conduit of good in the world because you're abundance, suddenly, these things don't have to be just as bad. Abundance does not have to be judged as something to keep away from you if it includes something that you think is wrong to have, based on a story from another, of course. And while we speak, while we channel on this, abundance is being seeded in your world energetically. And you can ask for that. You can ask for additions to that. You could do that work on your own. You do not need us for abundance. But part of this channel is the frequency of seeding abundance. And what do you need to get rid of for abundance to show up for you? What is in the way of your abundance? Whether that is a person, job situation, something less tangible perhaps, like an idea or belief. See what comes to you intuitively. See if you get anything while you're sitting with us. And if you don't get anything, see what comes to mind afterwards. See if anything shows up as in the way of your abundance for you, if anything. It doesn't have to be there. But that could be your next step, is weeding the garden of your abundance through removing the things that are in the way of the plants that symbolize your abundance, in this metaphor, growing in. We'll say something like that again. Weed the garden of the things taking up space where your abundance would like to reside. You deserve abundance. You are worthy of it. It is your birthright, as many have said. As many have brought through before we have brought this through. So keeping it from yourself is nonsensical. And we say that not so you beat yourself up, but so you realize that it is nonsensical to keep abundance from you. And then you may allow it more. If you were to live in total abundance, the world would heal. You would be healing the world because you would be allowing a frequency that not many will allow. More are, more will, and you could be part of that journey for the world, allowing your abundance, prosperity even, whatever that looks like to you. Again, free time, money, relationships, joy, pleasure. What is it? What do you need to include in your definition of abundance? Do you need to exclude anything? But the world would heal if you had abundance. And the more abundance that is manifested and brought forth as a frequency for all on the planet, the more the world becomes a brighter place. For lack is one of the things that causes certain people to act in undesirable ways. Even if you think of, to use a flip-flopped example, an individual with a lot of money, but does not have the abundance of spirits, of joy in their worlds. Think of the destruction they might sow due to that lack. Not to say people with money are bad at all. Think of people who feel they must turn to stealing due to lack, or wishing ill on others due to lack, and how that turns ugly due to lack. That doesn't need to be there. You healing your abundance wounds and bringing abundance to you is healing the world's abundance issues, you could say. Healing the world regarding abundance. And we say that in part so you do not keep it from yourself, but also because it is true. So let us manifest abundance for the world together while you are here. And for yourselves, you can include yourself in this. Sit in the energy of you being abundance. And we'll give you a visualization for this as well, in addition to the exercise. Just say, Source, what would it be like if I were in total abundance? And get that energy from Source and sit in it and feel it. Many of you feel joy. Many of you feel ecstatic. And just call that in. Just say, I ask for that. And now it can show up. But now, as you're sitting with this, and that energy, visualize yourself in a garden representing your abundance. And you may get intuitive messages or visuals as you do so regarding your abundance. For example, if you see another human causing havoc, and you know who this human is, it might be time to set boundaries with this person so you can have more abundance. But see what shows up in your garden representing the weeds in the way of your abundance, around all that as well. And in this visual, while you're sitting in the frequency of abundance, begin pulling those weeds. And you can just imagine a visualization that represents this. The energy healing will occur regardless. if you get the intuitive visual and journey and you receive that from spirit, your spirit team, your intuition, that will work very well as well. Let it show up how it will. But show these weeds being thrown into a discard bin or a fire nearby. You can visualize this. And just keep going until you see the garden completely free of weeds. And see how that feels lighter regarding your abundance. Now, plant the seeds of what you'd truly like to see. And these can be specific things that you visualize, but also consider just planting the frequency of abundance and asking Source to make it the highest and best it can be for you, above and beyond even what you can imagine, and just plant those seeds. If you feel called to see yourself attending to the soil, adding manure or fertilizer, you may do so. Now see your garden fully planted, even if you have to fast forward the visual. See the weeds gone, and you can just skip ahead and see these weeds gone, burned up, thrown away, your garden planted. Now as you sit with your garden, ask that it expands times 10. And you are multiplying your abundance. And there's infinite abundance. You're not taking from anyone. You are seeding abundance on the earth through your abundance. Not where you lose your abundance or people are taking it from you. Though you may choose to be generous with this. That would create a great flow of abundance. Ask that it multiplies times 20. Ask that it multiplies times 100. Now, sit in that, and you can visualize an infinity sign over this garden or see yourself drawing it in the dirt. Anywhere in the garden works or above it. And know that your abundance can expand infinitely, energetically. And that can show up in a myriad of ways on earth. Do not limit it. But as this abundance expands, it nourishes you in your life, and it begins to plant more seeds of abundance in the world. So see your garden multiply and expand until it covers the whole earth. And you will not lose your abundance with this. You will not give your abundance away. You will not take another's abundance. You are simply allowing the frequency of abundance to permeate everything. Now just say to the universe, to Source, as you put your awareness and intention on the world, Source, please make this an abundant world, more so than ever before. Thank you. And this does not mean lack of gratitude for what is, asking for more. This is not implying that the world is not already abundant or infinitely abundant. It is shifting the frequency more towards abundance, where that abundant frequency is not there. And it is awakening the world to abundant living, not forcing it on them, but allowing the possibility. So once again, see an abundant garden covering the whole earth, your abundant garden. You can see additional abundance seated in the sky somehow for the highest good. And just say, may this world become an abundant place for the highest good of all. And see how that feels. Now, while we are here, plant some seeds of peace. Plant some seeds of joy. Plant some seeds of love. Plant some seeds of healing and or being healed. Plant some seeds of consciousness. And then you can say, may this come to the world in the best ways. Thank you. You can say with us, may this world be a world of peace. May this world be a world of joy for the highest good. May this world be a world of highest consciousness for the highest good. Now, let that go. Come back to you. You can come back to your body if you need to. This has been a seeding of abundance from the divine. But it has also been a seeding of abundance for you that your soul has wished to give to you. Perhaps even through you. So, you can revisit this exercise whenever you feel called to call in more abundance, to create a more abundant planet and reality or better for all. There's one more thing we would like to talk to. What frequency do you need for abundance? This could be directly related or unrelated. Is there a frequency that comes to you, whether it is love, peace, joy, or even self-care? Or do you just simply get abundance itself? And you just need to call in the frequency of abundance. But go get that frequency, call it in, do things that will create it, because that will be a next step to cultivate abundance, is giving yourself the frequency that comes to you, if any, that you need for abundance. Oh, and you may wish to double check that a week later, a month later, and see if you get anything else. But you are walking towards abundance as you give yourself what you need regarding that when you ask that question. But that is all. That is what we wish to do here. So we wish you well. We wish you abundance. We wish you joy. We wish you peace. We wish you success. And may highest consciousness find you with ease. May your world change for the better. We are signing out for now. The Angelic Collective of Zorbital and Source. Farewell. Okay. Well, I hope that was great for you energetically and experience-wise, and may that create, can I talk after this? May that create what is highest and best for it to create for you as well. That was amazing. Heck yeah. You're welcome, Kelly. So glad to hear it. Thank you, Abundance, Love, Joy. Glad it was powerful. You're welcome. Good to see you, Leo. Glad you're welcome. Heck yeah. Glad to hear it, Heather. Thank you, Keisha. Thanks for the feedback. I'm so glad to hear it's powerful. Worth it for me to stay awake till 5 a.m.? Heck yeah. That's great feedback. I so appreciate that. I met my inner child in the garden. Ooh, fascinating. You may have gotten your own intuitive things on what to do with that. I would definitely heed that. It might also be time to integrate some of the inner child or look into that. Exactly what you needed? Heck yeah. You're welcome, Kanisha. You said thank you. Sorry. I thought you said thank you in that. I wasn't trying to say you're welcome when you didn't say thank you, but I'm so glad to hear it is what I'm trying to say. I don't need to over-explain to you, but not me doing that while I apply for work. Perfect timing. I cried. It was so touching. You're welcome, Tara. So glad to hear it. Oh, that's cool. Thank you, Cowtippa. So glad to hear today's live was gold. How does it get even better than that? So many synchronicities. Perfect. Baking with chill beats. I love it. Still coming to, yeah, take your time. That can happen with the channeling too, where it's just like, wow, where you're still kind of coming back afterwards. So take your time. If it helps to ground, you can ground. If you just need a second before you start going about your day or evening or whatever you're doing now, that's cool. Take some time for sure. So this all will be reposted on YouTube. I fell asleep and dropped my phone on my face. Well, you just needed the frequency. Yeah. I'm sorry to hear it, Jack. Could have used it. All right, this will be reposted on YouTube. I screen recorded this, guys. So if TikTok doesn't work out, I have a backup. I am not, we're not missing this. Unless something weird happens with that too, then, it is. The universe will make it happen. If the universe does not want this on YouTube, it'll be like, no. But thank you so much, Tara. I'm so glad to hear it. So if you missed it, it'll be on YouTube. And usually I get it up around Tuesday, if all goes well. Just so you know, because, yeah, just so you know. I guess we're done though. If you liked this live, I know a lot of you are familiar. If you ever would like to go further with my work, what's the best way to say this? I mean, I do have a free newsletter with channeled advice on the week ahead and channeled messages in the month ahead each month. So you can sign up on link in bio for that if you'd like to. I mean, my website has a lot about what I offer if you're interested in any of that. And I'll still be doing these Sunday lives. I do have a membership where I definitely post, monthly content, like long full channel messages like what we just did and all that. So also channel messages like that go really in depth, like channel reading specifically for the members in the month ahead. So if you feel called to any of that, it would be awesome to see you there. If not, and you're just like, or you can't afford it, that's cool too. I'll see you here live. I'll see you on TikTok and YouTube and all that. And I so look forward to getting to channel for you next time. And for this is coming on to say it too, but I do facilitate one-on-one readings again, so if that calls to you, awesome. I look forward to working with you, but otherwise I'll see you in here next Sunday, hopefully, and all that. You're welcome, guys. It was so good to get to channel for you and get to hang out with you and, get to say silly jokes at you and all that. And super glad to get to do this and be here with you, and I'm wishing you well. I'm going to close it out. Because it's been about 4 hours, maybe slightly less than 4 hours. So you guys have the best week possible for each of you. And may the highest and best of transpire. And I will see you in the future. All right. Woo! I was going to yell it, but it's 10 p.m. here. And I don't know if people are trying to sleep, but in the house. Love you guys, okay? See you in the future.